It's seen some popularity as a standard brew from... So, looks like we were muted. We apologize for that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to MTGCardmarket for the first stream of the new year. Okay, we are watching Junji Choi on the left here, playing Affinity against Sam Schultz on the right here, playing Blue Moon with a Madcap Empyrean package, and this card on the right, Metallurgic Summonings, in the deck. Talk to us about Metallurgic Summonings, Dan.
Well, I mean, we've seen a lot of Blue Moon before, and we've seen the Madcap experiment into Platinum Empyrean. We've seen that package quite a bit before as well. Can't say I've ever seen Metallurgic Summonings played outside of a limited format. Now, if you can get it going, if you can get to 5 and, begin casting a bunch of things off of it, you can get a fair bit of value from it. But it is, presumably a little too slow, especially in this matchup. Now, Sam is going to take a total of 3 from that attack.
No, I think he end of turn killed the Ravager.
Oh, if he did end of turn, then...
Yeah, no, the Signal Pests both attacked, and then he killed the Ravager once he had taken damage.
Sure.
So, Junji's start here, depending on what else he has in hand, double Signal Pest is really good when you're going wide.
Right. And double Signal Pest also makes this Ink Moth plan pretty scary as well.
Yeah.
This can be a fairly reasonably quick clock, just on board.
Yeah, and so right now this is 3 Infect a turn, but Junji has plans. He's got a Cranial Plating in hand, but he's going to choose to play a Master of Ethereum. Sam is going to think about it for a second and then cast a Logic Knot in response.
Yeah. Logic Knot for 1 will be good.
And Logic Knot is a card that some people have been playing more in control decks in Modern with especially some Jeskai builds have been playing this. And actually, interesting here, we're gonna see Sam go for a Madcap experiment.
Yeah. So a Madcap experiment with a deck with only 1 target, and that target saying that you can't lose, your life total can't change. It's pretty good. So even though Sam is going through a good portion of his deck,
he's just gonna show the whole thing up. That was a Temporal Trespass we just walked by.
Oh, well, there we go. If I was Junji, I would definitely take a look at the
revealed cards.
The revealed card. It's almost every card in the deck.
Right. So this is Madcap Experiment. This is a Kaladesh card. What this does is for 4 mana, it lets you, if you just have Platinum Empyrean in your deck as an artifact, you search your whole deck for Platinum Empyrean, it enters the battlefield, and Sam's now comfortably at 15. What he doesn't know, however, is that Junji has a Cranial Plating in hand. So Junji can play the plating and then next turn equip it to the Ink Moth and attack for a whole lot. I think actually just like lethal amounts of Infect. So, and with the 3rd Signal Pest, that's almost, wow, here we go. All right, yeah, so Junji realizing that this is the only way to win the game here is to attack for poison. We're not going to be changing Sam's life total because it can't change because of the Empyrean, but he will take 3 poison damage here, which is, wrong one, which is quite a chunk.
Yeah,
he needs to answer the Ink Moth this turn.
Right. And though I don't think it's relevant for Sam with the way he has built this deck, it is worth noting that Platinum Empyrean turns off fetch lands.
This is true.
You cannot pay life.
Yeah. So this just might be lethal here unless Sam has a response. I guess he has Cryptic to tap, maybe bounce the Ink Moth or something.
Well, I don't think Junji has enough mana to both equip and activate the Ink Moth.
So he's got, but I mean, he can activate and attack this turn again, putting Sam up to 6.
Right.
Oh, no, sorry, 7. There's 3 Signal Pests. Yeah, so,
Yeah, and Junji hasn't played land this turn, so even, so bouncing the...
no, he did play the Mountain.
Oh, he did play.
He drew and played the Mountain. So bouncing the Ink Moth is actually really good for Sam.
Right. In that case, if I was Sam, I would counter this Cranial Plating and bounce the
Ink Moth.
Ink Moth.
Cranial Plating obviously very dangerous, but he says that's fine. That's going to resolve. So now we'll have to see what Junji wants to do here. I mean, Sam literally just needs a bolt because he has been attacking with the Empyrean. So okay, so
all right.
Junji gonna, instead of attacking with the Ink Moth, play a Steel Overseer. If Sam has a bolt, if Sam draws a removal spell that can kill the Ink Moth, then I don't see how he loses this game, because the Platinum Empyrean did crunch Junji for 8. So
right, and it's very likely that, you know, from Junji's perspective, he's playing against a blue-red deck. There's got to be a fair number of you know, burn spells,
Electrolyze, Bolt
in this deck. Yeah,
there we saw an Izzet Charm, and actually this is something to note. Sam does have Snap Izzet Charm available. So if the Inkmoth gets activated, Sam can just be Snap Izzet Charm. Even an Overseer activation can't save the Inkmoth at that point.
Right. So this makes me a lot more incentivized to play the Cryptic now, because
You want to hold up Snap Izzet for when he does stuff.
Right, and if you draw a land, now all of a sudden you have Snap Cryptic.
Right.
Which is a lot of value.
I think he might be going for Snap Not here. Because he does have a second Snapcaster in his hand.
Okay.
So he'll counter the Overseer. I would have preferred to not have a plating resolve than an Overseer at this point, because the plating on Inkmoth is obviously so dangerous.
Right.
But this is just an attack with an 8/8 right now. Junji just going to throw a Signal Pest under the bus.
And yeah, it looks like Sam's okay with it. And
yeah, so, I mean, again, Sam has a wealth of options here. Knowing that he has Snap Izzet Charm means, like, he's so set in terms of killing this Inkmoth. So yeah, activate Inkmoth, fine.
So the problem here is Junji played a land. He played that Darksteel he just drew. So this means that if the Inkmoth gets bounced, which presumably it will be,
or they just kill it though. He has Snap Izzet Charm.
Sure, but I like expending this Cryptic. This Cryptic means that you have Snap Izzet Charm for lethal.
Izzet Charm doesn't go face.
Oh, you're right. That means if you draw land.
Yeah.
Actually, Sam's play here could be he could try to go for the pseudo kill.
Yeah.
Which would be just Cryptic, bounce your Inkmoth, draw a card.
Yeah, or tap your team.
Yeah, tap your team means you can get in for 10 next turn.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
And also there's another Madcap in hand. And Junji, having played that second Darksteel Citadel,
it's really going to bite him.
Huge tempo loss. Yeah, here's an attack for 10. And Junji just says, I can't deal with that, go to game 2. So that's gonna do it. Sam Schultz on Blue Moon Madcap Summonings.
Yeah.
Barely fits in our overlay there.
So cards that I would be looking to take out if it was Sam. Definitely the Metallurgic Summonings.
Also Blood Moon.
Also Blood Moon, yes. The Madcap, I mean, it's fine. Like it does mean that you now have a clock, and based on what we saw from Sam's deck, the deck is fairly threat light if you take out the Metallurgics and the Blood Moon. So you almost are priced into playing the Madcaps.
I don't hate the the Madcaps are actually really good though, right? Like if
Junji
doesn't have an Inkmoth, it's game over, right? Like I guess Affinity can play Ancient. They normally play Ancient Grudge, right?
Yeah,
for the mirror?
They can play Ancient Grudge, yes, and it looks like Junji has a couple Ancient Grudges.
Okay, so obviously that's insane against Empyrean. Like make an Empyrean, cool, kill it for 2 mana, and also possibly kill your next one for 1 mana.
Yeah.
Pretty strong.
Seems decent.
Yeah. Okay, so Dan is going to hop out of the booth for just a second. We look at Sam's sideboard. Looks like he's got some Sudden Shocks in there. Wow, looks like he has at least 2 or 3 Ceremonious Rejections. Probably for just this matchup, and maybe Eldrazi as well. But Ceremonious Rejection, new card from Kaladesh. Very, very powerful in formats where you're expecting lots of colorless things. So, this counters Tron, this counters Karns and, Tron fatties, but it also counters... also counters affinity spells. It also counters Eldrazi, if they don't have a Cavern of Souls, which can be incredibly powerful, right? Like 1 mana, counter all these dangerous plays is very, very strong. Sam also with Sudden Shocks. Sudden Shock, a very strong card against Arcbound Ravager. Doesn't let you play sort of shenanigans with counters and move things around. You cast Sudden Shock and Sudden Shock resolves and nothing else happens. And that's the end of that. So Sam's sideboard looks pretty well geared up to battle with Affinity. I mean, Sudden Shock, obviously, just destroying Ravagers, pretty nice.
Yeah. And I believe multiple Ceremonious Rejection.
Yeah. And also Anger of the Gods, which we see there as well. all of these cards are super good against Affinity.
Oh yeah, absolutely. My one concern is Sam not having enough threats.
Sure.
Because we didn't see anything particularly exciting past the Madcaps.
I mean, it's Madcaps are the threats. It's Madcaps, Snapcasters, and the burn spells.
Right. Which means you're super soft to resolve the
Etched.
Yeah, Edge Champion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this deck he's not in a good position to race.
Yeah.
But like he has so much removal that like I don't know. I mean I've never really played Sam. I've never really played Blue Moon, but if you draw your bolts, electrolyzes, we saw the Is It Charm and stuff, right? Like you sort of keep down the early board, and hopefully you get off a counter spell on whatever their big piece is. So like, you know, the Master of Ethereum came down for Junji, and Sam had a counter spell for that, or he had Snap Logic Knot for a Steel Overseer, right? Like, I mean, that's always sort of the goal with blue-red control decks is against affinities. You keep their board down and then like use your counter spells on their big pieces, but like. Sam's pretty well set up, right? If he has all 4 Madcap experiments, getting an 8/8 into play on turn 4, very powerful, and it's going to be on Junji to have an answer to that. And if he doesn't draw his Ancient Grudges, then like, you know, he has to kill with an Ink Moth, and that limits the number of threats his deck has to 4.
Right. And it depends on the configuration of what Junji has. Platinum Imperium is like really unique in that it's like particularly difficult to interact with. You know,
Edge Champion can't block it. Or can't block it, like, Edge Champion doesn't have protection from it.
Right.
And that, you know, sometimes Affinity can, you know, stall out a game by blocking your one threat with their Edge Champion, and then, like, draw plating, and suddenly, you know, so players are going to look at 7 again. Junji going to be on the play. It looks like he did draw an Ancient Grudge, and, like, if the rest of the hand is reasonable, I feel like you keep that, right? Like,
right.
It's so, like, so good against Platinum Imperium. Just 2 mana, and on the back half, similarly strong. So
is that a collective brutality?
I think it's a Vault Scourge.
Oh, okay.
It's just a Vault Scourge.
A Vault Scourge makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
Ink Moth Nexus 2, so good start for Junji here. He's gonna go to 18 to play the Scourge.
Yeah. The problem with Affinity always is like if you keep a hand that's just a little too slow, you give them time to draw into all of their answers.
Right. And I mean Junji does have an Opal here though, so that is potentially very good for him. Sam looking like he's going to fetch down to 19, I would assume, to get this island. Yeah, okay. And then he's going to go for a... I'm going to go for a Serum Visions after he shuffles. So, you know, both players sort of pretty standard openings. Junji obviously not vomiting his whole hand all over the board, but like turn 1 Opal Vault Scourge, like turn 1 like land Vault Scourge Mox Opals, like... that's like a pretty standard opening.
Yeah, absolutely fine. So long as we have a power 2, it's perfectly fine.
So Sam looked like he scryed top, bottom, and
it also looks like Sam kept in the Blood Moons.
I'm not a huge fan.
Not a crazy fan. I mean,
I guess it shuts off the Ink Moths, but like.
That does commit you to spend an entire card on doing that.
Here comes Cranial Plating, hit you for 4. I feel like Junji should just resolve Cranial Plating here, please. Unless he has like more creatures in his hand he wants to develop the board with, right? Like.
You can also just play both, and
that's
then
true.
See where he is next turn.
Yeah, and let's see. All right, so that's a Springleaf Drum.
Okay, there we go.
There we go. Okay, so now, the classic gazillion permanents in play. Sam with this attack going to go to 18, Junji back up to 19.
Just want to make sure we get the sequencing correct to, maximize the number of cards we
Sam
can
with a land and pass. So he now has Logic Not up, but it might be a turn too late, right? Like,
yeah,
and a Darksteel to even further power up that plating.
I mean, right now, Sam has Logic Not for 2, and, it's
but
a very good chance that
though?
Junji can pay for it.
Right. Like, the other thing is, like, it doesn't matter, because here comes, 4 Infect, and if he wants to put the plating on something, a whole lot more. I like attaching the plating using one. I don't necessarily like activating both of the Ink Moths.
See, I'm fine with the activation on the Ink Moth, because
All right.
If you were going to go for the infect kill,
Right.
you would just have to Vault Scourge to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So Junji's kind of splitting the difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's going to come for 2 infect here.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now we're going to count plating. Oh, activating the Ink Moth also gives him extra plating count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plus base power. That's for 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, every permanent on the field right now is an artifact.
Whew.
Every permanent, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so the attack for a 10 lifelink, 2 infect.
All right, so Junji going to go up to 29. Sam going to go to 8. Assuming he doesn't have responses to this.
And yeah, you can see
like no bolt. This is not looking good. Ceremonious rejection also turn too late.
Right. I mean, if Sam goes and plays a Blood Moon here, that's just comically too late.
I mean, it's game over, right? Like, okay, and now you just get hit with a Vault Scourge for a gazillion.
I mean, you can no longer animate the ink moths, right? So it makes it too smaller. But there's currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so this is just lethal on board. There are 6 artifacts, plus the Vault Scourge, plus the base toughness. So that's
plus
attack,
the pest.
Yeah, that's just attack for 8.
Yeah, 6 artifacts plus the pest.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the Scourge.
I think they're calling a judge to see if Dark Steel remains an artifact, and
It does.
Yeah, it in fact does. It becomes a mountain artifact.
Mm-hmm.
But
With indestructible.
Yeah, but still an artifact.
Absolutely, and that's critical here because if he didn't have this, he'd be 1 point short.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I feel like Sam might be at 7 because we missed the signal pest damage too.
Oh no, we did get.
We got the signal pest. Okay. Okay. So yeah. So I think that's what's getting resolved here, and here goes the. I mean, if this is just an attack, then Sam is just dead.
I mean, unless Sam has Slaughter Pact in hand. I mean, just
Slaughter Pact, please.
All Junior has to do is turn his creature sideways, and he will win the game.
Yeah, he really. I mean, Sam's tapped out too. There's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah.
And then we'll pretty rapidly get a third game.
Mm-hmm.
Junji thinking about it, makes the right call.
Yeah.
Signal. So there's 6 artifacts.
6 artifacts plus Signal Pest plus base power is 8.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Sam's gonna look at his hand and. Did we miss? I feel like we might have missed something.
I don't think we did because
Sam appears to not be dead here.
I mean, so Sam got fetched once, so 19. Got hit once with Vault Scourge, 18.
Yeah.
Took 10 last time. We'll go ahead and...
Okay.
Yeah.
Junji, so Sam goes for a Madcap experiment, but Junji shows him the Ancient Grudge, so that will end the game.
Right.
Because the Platinum Empyrean that comes in is just going to get grudged.
Right.
Okay.
I'm fairly confident that we had that correct. Unless Junji, possibly forgot about the Signal Pass.
The first time?
The trigger
yeah. Okay.
or something.
Sure.
Yeah, because Sam fetched once, 19. Took 1 hit from Vault Scourge, 18.
I think they might have miscounted the plating on the first attack, leaving Sam at like 9 or 10.
That's very possible, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's fortunately, that all works out because Junji gets to... Junji, has the Ancient Grudge waiting for the Empyrean to come in off the Madcap, and that is one sort of problem is that Modern has a lot of really good artifact hate, right? Like Wear Tear or Ancient Grudge or Kolaghan's Command even, right? Like against a Grixis deck, like I feel like Platinum Empyrean is somewhat of a liability, despite being a huge body. Like when they can not only kill your huge creature, but also, make you discard or buy back a Snapcaster on 1 card, like, yikes.
Yeah.
Seek assistance.
I mean, that's always the weaknesses, one of the weaknesses of Affinity, right? It's the hate is incredibly powerful.
Yeah. I mean, well, and the weakness of Affinity is that the hate is good, and that sort of bleeds over into being good hate for Platinum Empyrean.
Yes. Although, I mean, with the deck that Sam is on, he showed the Blood Moon, so... There's a lot of, different angles that Sam could be attacking on. And Junji just, hasn't seen, he hasn't seen Metallurgic Summoning. Although, if
I think Sam took that out, though.
Yeah, presumably he took it out.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens in this third game. I think a lot depends on... I mean, I think interestingly, a lot of the game just hinges on does Junji have the ability to beat the Madcap, because as it stands, like it's so as we saw, like he just ran Sam over that game.
Yeah.
So being on the draw also matters.
Right. Because Sam has so many answers, having the initiative is extremely important. Especially like we look at that game, like Sam just took turn 1 off the setups, ceremonious and stuff, and it would just end up drawing it just too late.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're going to ceremonious things on curve.
Right, like if you just go turn 1 island, ceremonious rejection, what you play, super good.
Right.
Because then you go ceremonious logic nod, snap ceremonious cryptic, right? Really live the dream. Cryptic, bounce your snapcaster, then you can snap cryptic later. But like, I mean, that's obviously in Christmas Land, but this is.
Or what would have been good against that draw is just lightning bolt.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Is like that was the classic. Like I have all my counter spells in hand, but I don't have any of my
removal.
Any of my removal, and that's never good. That's always, and it's always a miserable feeling too when the person goes like you draw a spell snare the turn after the person has played like a critical 2-drop. Just like, please, one time. So players are gonna look at 7. Sam with the ceremonious rejection, Serum Visions, Logic Knot, and lands. I feel like this hand could be a trap if Junji draws well enough. Sam really has to draw into some stuff here.
Yeah, and you have ceremonious as your only interaction, and while it's quite good,
he has Knot too, right?
Yeah, the lot might be a little slow here.
Okay. 1 mana, play a Graph Digger's Cage. Ooh, that gets countered if I'm Sam. Nope.
No,
okay,
he's just gonna.
I mean, that completely shuts off the Empyrean play.
That shuts
until
off...
you get to 8 mana and Snapcaster too.
Yeah.
This is not ideal.
I mean,
I don't know about if I like not taking that Graph Diggers with.
The problem is there's so many important Junji played. Has put a lot of nonsense into play, but Ornithology's not doing anything. Midnight's not really doing anything.
Right, but Sam's hand, he had a ceremonious rejection there,
yes.
right? Like, he's not going to get to do... He's it's going to be turn 3 when he gets to cast 2 counter spells at once.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think that, rejectioning the cage, leaves on... now Madcap Experiment is just a dead draw.
Yeah.
A really dead draw.
Is that a Metallurgic in hand?
Oh, please let it be a Metallurgic. Let's see.
Is that?
I'm not getting a good enough look here. Junji has an Etch Champion, but will be sad if he casts it. Attack for 1 with this Memnite.
Yeah, it looks like he's a mana short anyways.
Yeah.
He does have a Ravager, though.
Okay, so you're going to try for the Ravager, and Sam's going to say, please.
Yeah.
Not today. Ceremonious Rejection, really, really good. But yeah, this is, I don't know. This is weird because Junji's not exploding out of the gates, but Sam is also, he's been caged and stuff. So pass the turn back, bolt the draw there. Eventually he'll bolt this Memnite, right?
I don't, unless that Memnite has, is equipped with a Cranial Plate. I don't know if I ever bolt the Memnite.
I mean, eventually these Memnites are going to hit you for 2, but this is an Etch Champion, and Sam here should be Logic Nodding for 1. He can do it even without using... I mean, here, you can use you just pay the mana.
Yeah, just 3 mana counterspell.
Yep. Etch Champion goes down, and now Sam is on a 9-turn clock to these 2 Memnites.
Yep.
Not sure if that's good, but we'll see. I mean, now the thing is, Snapcaster is off. He draws another bolt, though. Gonna pass the turn back. He has a Snapcaster in hand. Snapcaster feels so bad right now. Here's an attack for 2.
Yeah. So Sam has to decide if he wants to kill these.
He's going to go to 16. I mean, the thing is, right, if he draws, I don't know what Sam plays for Artifact Tape, but if he draws... Okay, so that's a very boltable target right there.
Yes, this is going to die. Sam's going to play...
Cage.
Cage?
Okay. Cage.
I mean, this is a legal play.
It's not anymore. There we go.
He can't. He can target it. He cannot flash it back.
Junji's sayonara. Graph Diggers. So Sam's gonna pass it, or not pass it back. He's just gonna, Okay, so I think he forgot about the cage, but it doesn't matter. He's gonna bolt the Overseer. He has a Snapcaster.
Proceeds to draw another Snapcaster.
I mean, this race is right.
This is as good as it gets, right? You're just gonna have to play this as a 2-1.
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, it's fortuitous that Sam still has another bolt in hand.
Agreed. That being said, here comes the beats. So hopefully he gets to bolt this before we have to do plating math, which is good.
Yeah.
So that'll get out of there. And then, so that'll be an attack for 2 more.
Yeah, if I was Sam, unless I have an answer for this Graph-Digger's Cage, I might as well just play the Snapcaster.
Yeah, just use the mana efficiently. And he did, see. Yeah, so.
This at least gives you
Okay, Madcap Experiment, also very bad here.
Yes. There's a chance that Sam did not realize the magnitude
He's going to try to erase the plating. I don't know if I like this. Because, what are these Memnites hit for? A lot? A lot.
Memnite's going to hit for a lot.
Activate. Oh, boy. Does Junji just, kill him now?
No. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, potentially 8? 8 artifacts?
So there's 5 in the top layer, and he hasn't activated the Blink Moth yet.
Right.
So right now this is an attack for 8 because it's... Or wait, 1, 2, through 7 plus 1 base power.
Yes.
Yeah, so if he doesn't activate the Blink Moth, this is 7 Infect.
Yeah, and there's no reason to activate.
Yeah. Wow. 7 Infect. All right, well, this game has suddenly gone down the poison train. Big yikes. Graph-Digger's Cage. Look, turn 1, yeah, and he's going to show him the 2 cards. Madcap Experiment useless. Woo! Junji Choi on Affinity. Going to get this 2-1 over Sam Schultz on Blue Moon Madcap Summonings. Woo, Dan's going to hop out of the booth also for a second here. He's got to go get another match, hopefully, so we can get you some more Modern, but wow, yeah, Graph-Digger's Cage, good card. Not countering it with Ceremonious Rejection, I think I would have preferred that, but, ultimately Affinity doing Affinity things with plating and stuff, and that Graph-Digger's Cage shutting down those Snapcasters was brutal. Adcracker, we will get to that question in just a second, because that is a very good question, and we are going to be talking about Fatal Push, because that card is nuts. So yeah, give me 1 second for Dan to get back in here. But yeah, Sam showing his sideboard here is a Static Caster, Sudden Shock, Ceremonious Rejection, Anger the Gods, so many good cards in the matchup, but just didn't draw enough of them to make it matter against the robots. What do you do against, when your Snapcasters are shut off? I think that the most puzzling thing for me was your turn 1 Graph-Digger's Cage. If you have Ceremonious Rejection on curve for that, just snap that off, because it makes the whole game plan of your deck becomes super mega dead. So yeah, Junji gonna get it 2-1, like I said. Hopefully Dan is gonna find a match. If not, he's gonna come back and we're gonna talk about some some of the spoilers and whatnot, because they were amazing. And just to keep you guys sort of in the loop, so Dan and I were not in Chicago for multiple weeks, but now that it's after the holidays, we're back, and we should be streaming consistently every Wednesday for a sustained period of time. Dan has come back in and given me the thumbs up. What are we watching, Dan?
We are watching Christian play against Lawrence. Now, these are 2 newcomers to the store, and they're going to game 3 with mystery decks.
What do you mean mystery decks?
I have no idea what they're playing.
Amazing.
that is what I mean by mystery decks.
Okay.
I did get a chance to speak to Junji and Sam out there.
Uh-huh.
And I asked Sam why he didn't...
Rejection the Cage?
Rejection the Cage, and his response was, because I forgot what I did.
Okay. Yeah, that'll do it. So this is going to be Christian Ray versus Lawrence. Do you know who's who here?
No, I did not.
Go find out.
I will go ahead and find out. And I'll also go find out what they're on.
Jeez. All right. So Dan's going to be a goofball. Get back out there. Figure out, who is who and what decks they're playing. In the meantime, our stalwart players, right deck, right player and left player will make an appearance on the stream. Frequent regulars of the shop, left player and right player. Yeah, so Mystery Decks Game 3. I see something whiteboarded down there in the deck on the left. So looks like green things. So it looks like elves maybe on the left. Okay, so What are they on and who's who? First give me who's who.
Christian is the one wearing black.
So this guy on the left.
Yeah.
Hand? Okay. And what is he on?
He is green black elves.
Okay.
And playing against white blue control.
Okay. And this guy is Lawrence. Yep. Okay. White blue control like how white blue control we talking? We're talking like Leyline of Sanctity white blue or like normal white blue?
Normal white blue, like white blue control.
Okay.
With like supreme verdicts and that kind of deck.
That's good. Yeah, there was a. So while these guys get shuffled up for game 3 here, Dan, do you want to respond to the question that Atcracker asked? What are your thoughts on, Fatal Push, the new spoiler, and is it now better to play Junk or Jund? And how do you feel Affinity will be positioned in a modern that involves Fatal Push?
Just make sure I'm on the same page. Fatal Push is the 1 mana.
It's the black destroy target creature, CMC 2 or less, Revolt CMC 4 or less.
So I mean, that card will be excellent in Junk. One of the big problems in Junk has been that you don't have Terminate, and this gives you a pseudo Terminate. You can't hit the big stuff, but most of the relevant cards in the format you can get. Hey, I've terminated War with Spine Worms before.
Yeah.
Feels fine. So it plays a good role in Junk, and it does have reasonable synergy as well, because you can usually have a lot of like Lingering Soul tokens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
John, your list is already kind of tight. It doesn't take the place of bolts.
Yeah.
Because bolts are so flexible. So your John list, if you put Fatal Push in it, what exactly you cut, right?
Sure.
So I see, there's a possibility that, it plays, a 2 of in Junk. You can cut cards, like Disfigure and, stuff like that. That before you're just kind of priced into having to play.
Yeah. All right, so these players are going to get underway here. Lawrence is going to be on the draw. So looking at a hand, going to sacrifice a Flooded Strand here. I believe he's going to go cast a Serum Visions. Typical start for elves. Gonna play a 1-drop, and we're gonna shock here for Lawrence. Gonna go to 17.
With Christian on the green black, the important thing to remember is Shaman the pack can be quite a beating.
Yeah, this is why mono green elves I think would have a much harder time against this blue white deck, because Supreme Verdict is really good, but and as we speak of the Supreme Verdict, there's one on top there. I don't know if he has enough lands. It looks like he's got 3 lands, so I would maybe go Supreme Verdict top and the other one bottom.
But it does look like Lawrence has a fair number of things to do. He's got a Wall of Omens in hand.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like he's going to keep them both top. I guess there was a Snapcaster in there. So going to be a draw step from Christian. Draws an Elvish Visionary. Also has access to a Dwynen's Elite.
And 2 Shaman the packs in hand.
Yeah, so build a huge board, and hopefully before it gets verdicted, you get to play Shaman. I think honestly, sometimes with Shaman, you almost want it in your deck more than you want it in your hand, because then you can get to it at instant speed with cards like Collected Company and Court of Calling.
Right. I think one of the problems with Christian's hand is that he doesn't have a second land drop.
That's not optimal.
Yeah, tried to get there with the Elvish Visionary, but did not get there. And this is Lawrence's window, because he's gonna have enough time to be able to deploy his answers. Yeah, so I like here, if I'm Lawrence, so he has a Hallowed Fountain, and so he actually does have enough lands to cast Verdict. I like here you go Island, play Wall. Next turn you go Colonnade tapped. Yeah, and so he's going to do that here. And then on the 4th turn you play your second Hallowed Fountain untapped and just blow everything up. But here's going to be Wall, draw a card, draws a Snapcaster, you're going to pass it back. This is what blue-white, this is the position they want to be in, right? You're behind a wall, you got all sorts of stuff going on. Looks like Christian does draw a land, though. Yeah. So he's got Court of Calling in hand and a Dwynen's Elite. Here's another Llanowar Elves, but like you said, missing that land drop last turn took some time off that I'm not sure he can afford to. Right. If Christian had hit, the land drop last turn, he could have played his Llanowar last turn and just have access to that much more mana this turn.
Right. So now, here's the nice thing for Christian is, though, with the Chord, is that he will be able, when he untaps, to Chord in response to Supreme Verdict for a Shaman. So he can, if he's going to lose his whole board, right, he can get in a Drain for 6 or so.
I mean, depending on how much mana Christian can develop, he could also core for Azuri and save some of them.
I think Azuri though he would only be able to save one.
Right. It depends on how much mana Christian can generate this turn. One of the problems also with playing the green-black versus the green-white version is you can't cord for Selfless Spirit.
Right, and Selfless Spirit's so good against Supreme Verdict.
Yes.
So the other thing that Christian hasn't been doing is he hasn't been attacking with his 1/1. So there was a turn last turn if he had attacked with Visionary and attacked with Llanowar Elves, one of them would have gotten blocked, but okay, so this is just going to be a straight up collected company here.
Yeah, this is going to be a main phase collected company.
Gonna look at 6 cards, gonna pick 2, put them Heritage. Okay,
Heritage is a good draw.
There's a lot. Wow.
Ooh,
okay, so going for this right now is I don't like going for it at sorcery speed because you're gonna get untapped verdicted. Even if you can make a bunch of mana with Heritage Druid, I feel like you're gonna have a hard time getting to the so you can make you can only make 3 mana right now. So you're not going to be able to cord for anything.
Yeah. And the
but
thing
here's
is,
3 mana, and this is going to be a Lead the Stampede. So even if this board is going to get crushed,
yes,
like Lawrence is literally going to untap, shock himself, and just destroy everything.
Right.
But Lead the Stampede, wow, it's going to find actual 2 creatures. Okay,
so not
I mean,
terrible.
it's like a that's divination, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I think one of the key aspects of like playing this kind of matchup is like you really need to be able to follow a Supreme Verdict with, collecting company.
Yeah, because that's so good.
This board looks so much better if like you allow the Supreme Verdict to resolve, then you Coco.
I 100% agree. You have like a okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
7 creatures hit the bin,
and also now Azuri is off.
Yeah, and I mean you're just constrained so much on mana because you just lost effectively 2 lands.
He does draw a Heritage Druid though, so run out the Archdruid, or sorry, run out the Mystic. I guess not running out the Heritage Druid is good. Spell Snare the draw actually hits very few things other than Dwynen's Elite.
Oh yeah, that's how when I was still playing this deck, that's something that's easy to forget. Spell Snare hits a ton of cards in almost every deck, except this one. There's just not a whole lot on 2. Like
and he draws another Coco as well. It's pretty good.
Countering a Visionary is not that exciting.
Yeah.
So Christian just desperately wants, some more mana. It's gonna just hard cast the Azuri.
Yeah, I mean, this is the window now. I guess you're on 5 lands. If you play your 6th land and Snap Verdict here, so good. Oh man, just do it, dude.
I don't think there's a reason to Snap Verdict though.
I mean, it puts him back on 2 lands and means the Azuri's never going to be able to save anybody.
But I mean, you have a D-Sphere.
Oh, do have a D-Sphere.
Yeah, so like the Azuri's not a problem. You also, Lawrence, no fear, just rumble with the Colonnade.
All right.
I don't hate this play at all. Like, if you're not gonna Snap Verdict, which in this position I don't think you should.
Right. You should wait a little bit.
Yeah. Then this is perfectly fine.
I mean, I'm just worried now, right? Like now everything other than the Azuri lives through the. I guess you can D-Sphere. Okay, so this is another Coco. So now again, I'm not a huge fan of this play.
Yeah.
Unless you hit a Dwynen's Elite here, you can get mad punished by another Verdict, right?
Right.
I mean, double Archdruid isn't bad, but Lawrence is going to untap Snap Verdict, and then, like, we're in the same position we were the last time Verdict got cast.
Right. And again, like, imagine how much better this would be if, Lawrence was forced to do a Snap Verdict, and then you put in 2 Elvish Archdruids.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Double Archdruid, obviously incredibly strong. But yeah, here's Snapcaster Mage, target Supreme Verdict, and that's another, 5 for 1? Well, I guess you're going to kill the Snap, too. No, because he killed 5 creatures, right? Killed double Archdruid, Azuri, Heritage Mystic.
I guess.
Yeah. So trade your Snapcaster for 5 of their creatures, pretty fine. And the thing is, again, now Christian's constrained on mana. So here's a Nettle Sentinel. But now Lawrence is in a good position to just go race. I would race. I would just colonnade him. You've got 5 turns to do it.
I would definitely just start off with the Seven Visions here.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's fine.
No reason
Seven
not
Visions
to.
trying to find another Supreme Verdict is pretty good. Interestingly, Christian with a Spellskite in hand. That's another thing that the Spell Snare would hit from Lawrence. Do you know if they play the Spellskite's main board usually, or
No, this is definitely
definitely a sided thing.
It's possible you might play one main just so you can court for it.
Sure, but you're definitely not going to play. You're not going to play Spellskites. You're not going to play more than one Spellskite main.
Right,
That's
the deck is a
completely
little too
understandable.
synergistic to
of
be able
course.
to play cards like that.
Yeah, so looking over the top two, looks like a Snapcaster and a wall. At this point with Lawrence, I'm really digging for digging hard for a I'm digging for another Wrath, right? Like this is where you want that to happen. But I think he's just gonna go, animate, colonnade, rumble. I like this. I actually really like this.
Yeah, from the cards, based on the cards we saw from Lawrence, this it looks like a deck with very few win cons. And I mean, this is you've got a 3-turn clock here.
And the thing is like, you're not afraid of anything because your opponent doesn't have mana.
Yeah, I mean, it's likely Christian has Dismember, but conveniently,
Spellskite is gonna get spell snared.
yeah,
here.
he's gonna get spell snared here.
Whew.
One of the few targets in this deck.
He has another Spellskite in hand too. Lawrence gonna go to 15 here, as he takes a hit from that Nettle Sentinel. But again, like,
he's not gonna actually take this hit from it. It's going to
he's
get
gonna condemn it?
condemned. Yeah.
okay, so he is gonna remain at 15 or 17.
And I like this play a lot too. It slows down Heritage Druid draws. It slows down Quarter Calling.
It does change your clock. Your clock is a turn longer now because your opponent gains 2 life from the condemn.
Right. But I think if I'm on a deck like this, I'm certainly fine going long.
That's fair.
And let's not forget, like Christian still has the 2 Heritage, the 2 Shaman packs from his opening hand still in hand.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, right? We haven't seen a Black Source yet.
Yes.
So, I guess we have seen them. We've seen Overgrown Tombs flip to the leads. But that's obviously not where you want to see your Black Sources. Draw for turn, and he's going to extend the hand. That's going to do it. Lawrence Durai getting it 2-1 on blue-white control over Christian Ray with green-black elves. So
yeah, it's a little unfortunate in that Christian never found a 3rd land.
yeah,
But also, perhaps
that's the thing with elves, though, right? Like they don't play that many.
right. I mean, when half your creatures are mana dorks,
yeah.
you can't play that many land. But also, I think perhaps a little bit of missequencing from the timing on when he played
On the Cocos?
Yeah.
I agree. I would, Coco, and like as a control player, like I say, pass turn in your end step, cast Collected Company. Sad faces across the board. Like there's no unless you have counterspell, right? Like it's just like ugh,
And something that was kind of interesting, I think Christian may have given Lawrence too much credit for having counter magic.
Yeah.
And then through that entire game, the only counter magic we saw, Spell
Snare.
Snare. wasn't a single other spell in any of Lawrence's scries or draw steps.
Right, yeah.
that could
No more
counter
counter magic, yeah. All right, so we'll throw it back up to the booth real quick here. So we had a question earlier about like fatal push in either Abzan or in Jund. But the Atcracker also wanted to know: do you think this affects Affinity's position in the new meta with fatal push? Do you think this is just another removal spell that inevitably you will have too few of against Affinity and they'll just run you over? Or do you think that this pushes that premium 1 mana removal to such a critical mass that Affinity will really struggle?
Well, the thing with fatal push is it doesn't do anything too unique. Yes, now you have a bolt that is guaranteed to kill Ravagers, which is one of the nice parts because it's based on CMC.
Yeah.
You can't ever let me sack enough creatures to make this Ravager big enough to survive the bolt.
Right.
But the thing is, the format is so wide that there's already a glut of premium removal spells, right? Like Abrupt Decay is incredibly good. And
Yeah.
still only sees 2 of in Jund, just because there are too many cards that are good.
Right.
And this is going to fit into the spectrum of cards that could see play. Keep in mind that while Revolt is like pretty easy to trigger, it isn't free.
Right.
Like there are certainly a lot of situations where you can't trigger it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like if you don't have the fetch land, then or whatever. I mean, and I think in Modern most of the time it's going to be enabled by fetch lands, right?
I'm most excited about this because like this gives you a way to like kill like Tarmogoyfs for one.
It kills Tarmogoyfs for one and doesn't give them a land, which is like, that's the problem with Path. When Tarmogoyf is like also rampant growth, it's like, I don't know, like obviously you have to path it, right? But now you can, I mean, I've talked to a fair number of people who have been like, maybe just Esper is a deck now.
Yeah, I'm a lot more excited about this in like Grixis or Esper. Like shows
I'm
like that.
so excited for Grixis Delver.
Yeah. Esper, one of its weaknesses always was that your only like unconditional removal was path.
And then you had to play like Murderous Cut and like Smother and just like other or 2 mana or like Delve spell.
Yeah, you always had Dismember. Like you always had Dismember as an out. But this is just such a clean answer to so many cards.
Right, and like this is so much better, for example, against Burn.
Right, but again, I don't know if this matters right now. Right, a lot of the modern meta right now is not focused on like, can I kill your creature?
Yeah,
a lot of it's focused on like, here's a Primeval Titan with permanent Valakut advantage, or here's Bloodghast coming back.
I think the biggest misses with this card are Primeval Titan and Reality Smasher. Yeah. And like obviously, if you can't revolt it, then you're not going to have a good time against some other cards, like Kalidas or 3 or 4 drops like Master of Ethereum and stuff. But this card seems kind of insane with Revolt on.
Yeah, no, it seems incredibly good.
Genvam for Grixis Delver, honestly, like I play 2 terminate, 1 cut. I would probably go down to like 1 terminate, 2 push, because if you like, against like matchups, against like Jund for example, like push snap push your Tarmogoyf. The other thing is like, it's crazy is this thing kills man lands, and that's one thing that like, when I saw it, you honestly like. These days, you sort of expect the non-land rider on that, right?
Right.
But
usually destroy target non-land creature if with CMC 2 or less.
No, not anymore. Now it's like this kills Raging Ravine, this kills Inkmoth Nexus, this kills Celestial Colonnade. Like it is, and that's one consideration that I mean, if that might if you're playing Jund, you might be like, maybe because this just kills their lands.
This kills everything but Lumbering Falls.
Yeah, all the man lanes except Lumbering Falls, sure.
Yeah.
And but like I feel like Infect, like against Infect, this is an incredible card.
Right. This is I was speaking to the flexibility of Abrupt Decay. This I mean Abrupt Decay, you do have increased flexibility in that in the main you can kill a cranial plating or you can kill some silly nonsense. This this makes it a lot easier to deal with Inkmoths.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I've sort of noticed about, sometimes if you play, for example, if you're playing Jund and you have Abrupt Decay in your hand and your opponent's like, cool, animate Inkmoth, like Might of Old Volcrosi, you're just like, no, please, one time, but...
Yeah, I'm shocked that they printed something this powerful for Standard, because
this is like, so actually, interestingly, there's a subreddit where people design like custom Magic cards, and one of the cards that was designed this year actually was called Bear Snare, and it was single black, destroy target creature, converted mana cost 2, and people were like, this card, you wouldn't play it main, but like it's in Modern it definitely has applications. Like it's probably too narrow, but like it's really close to being very good. And then Wizards just went and printed like a strictly better version of that.
Right.
So like I saw this and I was like, this isn't Standard. Like, how do you play like this kills like Mana Dorks on the draw. Like this kills Servant of the Conduit on the draw. This kills Grimflayer all the time.
The surprising part about this is that like the non-pushed version, the non-revolted version is still a fine card.
The non-revolted version kills Smuggler's Copter, dude. Like that's what people have been asking for an entire cycle.
And that's the shocking part. Like I can understand this card if it's like destroy target creature CMC 1 or less for the non-revolted, and like it actually puts a cost to the card.
Right.
Whereas now this is just free.
Right.
It's so free against.
This is insane.
Yeah.
Like The fact that I'm gonna be able to just like kill Tarmogoyfs for 1 mana without having to path them, like this kills any size of Tarmogoyf. I'm so happy, right? Like,
Well,
wow, get out of here, zap.
Right, and not just Goyf, right? This is this is pretty much the unrevolted part is every creature, like most of the creatures in Jund.
Yeah,
the revolted one is pretty much every creature
I don't
unless you're
see
playing
playing-
Tassigurs.
Right, and Tasigur not as popular these days, but this could, I feel like, if this card gets popular enough, you might see a shift back to decks that can play Tasigur, playing Tasigur, or playing the fish. Like, because this card's obviously a huge liability. Funnily enough, you can still cast this. So, like, let's say you wanted to get a Young Pyromancer trigger, you can still cast this targeting Tasigur. It just doesn't do anything. It's like the difference between, what is it, Red Elemental Blast and Pyroblast in Legacy,
Yeah,
where, like, one of them you can target, like, counter target spell if it is blue versus counter target blue spell.
Right.
Yeah.
And it might be relevant. There are a number of like instant and sorcery matter cards
Absolutely.
in standard. All right, so we got our round 2 pairings here. And give us a second while we find the match.
Sure. Your preference on those. All right, so Dana's going to hop out of the booth, and yes, Gibbous M, Wizards appears to be watching. Theoretically, they're not supposed to, read cards or designs that aren't, created by themselves, but this card is just, it's what people have been wanting for a long time, right? Like, everyone's like, black is the color of removal. Why doesn't black have good removal in Modern? Like, I don't know. Ask Wizards. But now no one can say that anymore. You've got to wonder, like, there's no way, like, it has the potential to push a lot of previously bad archetypes. Like, I'm super excited about Esper Control now. Like, just Esper Drago, get some Wafo top up in here, like, maybe play some Lingering Souls, but just, like, Sphinx's Rev, Colonnades, like, 1 Elspeth and a huge Secure the Wastes. Yeah. Guy Montags, yeah, go ahead and post your spoiler link. If it doesn't work, I'll mess with AutoMod so that it lets it through. And we will definitely talk about the card. Maybe on the next break though, because we did just get our pairings. Dan, who are we gonna be watching?
We are going to be watching.
It's not this one. It's this one.
Oh, right. We're going to be watching Isaac and Ken.
Okay. Do you know what they're playing tonight?
Yes. Isaac is on the blue-white Eldrazi Taxes deck that he.
Black-white?
Black-white. Excuse me. That he's played
before.
Ken is playing a deck we have not seen on camera before.
Okay.
He is playing Ad Nauseam.
He's playing Adnos. Wow, I didn't even know Ken owned Adnos.
Yeah. Yeah, so for that reason, it should be interesting to see him on camera here with it.
All right, yeah, that seems good. We'll throw it down to the play overlay. We just had a card that we were asked to discuss. By someone in the chat. So this card is Hidden Herbalists. It's a 2/2 for, so it's a bear. It's a 2/2 for 2. And when it enters the battlefield, if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, you can add green to your mana pool.
So, a little similar to like a Burning Tree Emissary effect.
Yeah, very much almost Burning Tree, right?
Yeah, although Burning Tree is unconditional.
Yeah, I mean that's the.
Yeah, although on the flip side, this is repeatable. Although this is also a one-time shot.
Yeah. I mean, it is a one-time shot, so, maybe they're not interested in reprinting Burning Tree, but they are interested in, having that effect available. I think it will be somewhat difficult to turn on. Like, you might need to play one of those, sort of puzzle knot variants that they spoiled recently.
I mean, my gut impression from the Revolt mechanic is that it's going to make attacking a lot better.
Because if your creatures die.
If your creatures die, then it's like, sure, let me play this with Revolt.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Who's on the left and right? I guess once I see the hands, I'll know. Okay, so that's going to be Ken on the left. Okay, so yeah, this is Ken Ropiak. Again, store regular, very, plays a lot of different decks. Affinity, Titan Shift, Infect, all that stuff. And on the right, Isaac Sherman, who played Elves for a while, but has been playing Black-White Eldrazi Taxes for some time.
And I mean, so looking at Ken's hand, he's got Angel's Grace and Ad Nauseam. So he's got the full combo in hand.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those matchups where for Isaac, he definitely wants to be able. He wants to try to disrupt the hand with like Tide Hollow Sculler and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ken.
Gonna start with a Sleight of Hand.
Yep. And I believe so Lotus Bloom. Well, the jig is up.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other unless you're playing like what KCI.
Yeah.
What Clan Ironworks, you're not playing Lotus Bloom in Modern.
Right. So Isaac should know that if he can't interact with Ken's hand,
he's gonna have a hard time.
He's likely dead on turn 4. Once his Lotus comes off of suspend, he's likely dead.
All Ken needs is what, like 2 more lands?
Yes.
Alright, well, we'll find out.
And Isaac should be at 18 here because he's shocked.
Oh, that's super helpful of them, actually. I love you guys.
Thalia, okay, so Thalia's going to do a little bit of work here.
Thalia's quite good.
Yeah.
Ken is going to just need another mana to go off.
No, he's going to need 3 more mana to go off. He has to pay for the Lotus Bloom. He's gonna have to pay extra for the Angel's Grace, and he has to pay extra for that.
So he needs 7 mana in play to go off now.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, and also there's a Tide Hollow for
more
Isaac.
than 7. It's 6 plus 3 is 9.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is gonna be a Leonin Arbiter. So Ken is no longer able to search his library, and now he's gonna get strip mined by the Ghost Quarter. Brutal.
Yep, and Ken's gonna fall to 18 from that attack.
And with this Tide Hollow Sculler that Isaac can actually do whenever on draw step, yep, here's going to go. This is really good for Isaac.
Yeah. So Ken, I mean, there's nothing really he can do anything about this. He did draw Phyrexian Unlife, so he has multiple effects that he can... Isaac's just going to go ahead and take the namesake card.
Yeah, Ad Nauseam, gonna go under that Sculler. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Ken with another Temple of Enlightenment here. Last time I played Temple of Enlightenment was in the Esper Dragons deck in the last set that Theros was around.
Yeah, the Scrying did quite a bit of work.
And it was pretty free.
This is
an attack for 6.
Yeah, this is quite a clock here.
Yeah, so Ken gonna go down to 12. He's in real trouble because Isaac also has another Sculler.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's another Arbiter here. Isaac did roll the Vial up to 3, I guess, so eventually he could Vial in a Thought Knot, but I sort of like leaving it on 2. Ken here gonna cast the Lotus Bloom, and draws another Adnos, so he's not out. Like he's not. He might be dead soon. How much does he need to go off?
So
he needs 7, but then he needs to pay 1 for Lightning Storm.
Yeah. Oh right, yes. No, but he'll find all 4 Simians.
Okay.
He'll find all 4 Simians.
But so he needs 6 plus 2.
Yeah, so he needs 8 total. He's looking at 6 on the board. The awkward part is he can Prophetic Prism.
Pentad Prism.
Pentad Prism, but
he can only do it for 1.
Yes.
Right.
Which might be...
Which is good enough if he has a land next turn.
Yeah, and he does. He has a Gemstone Cavern in hand.
Gemstone Mine.
Oh, man, I'm just mixing up all sorts of words
here.
Yeah, I think you have to go for the Prism here. Because you
go for a Prism for 1 next turn. You know, the thing is, Isaac has another Tide Hollow, which Ken doesn't know, but he'll be mega dead if he doesn't.
Yeah, it's super awkward because, like, the ideal play you make here, you play the Phyrexian Unlife.
Is he just gonna... What's happening? Crack this... Oh, okay, I guess you can just play the Unlife here. Yep. But now that Lotus Bloom is gone.
The Lotus Bloom is gone.
And Displacer going to get Vial then. Okay, so now this is an attack for... How much? 8, 11. So Ken's going to go to 1. That's actually super good for him, though.
Yeah, going to 1 is super relevant. So if we can pull up Phyrexian Unlife...
Absolutely.
It's worded in a very, very unique way. You don't start gaining infect counters until you have 0 or negative life. So being at 1 means that you have at least 2 attacks.
Right.
finding having the second
Tide Hollow
Scholar might
Might lock it up.
yeah.
I just think that Ken doesn't have enough mana right now. Like, he can get the Pentad Prism into play and maybe... But he still is going to need 8 mana to go off. And yeah, that's going to do... That's going to do for that. I mean, he's still got a couple of attacks. Isaac with the emphatic go gesture. Ken going to play the Gemstone Mine here. I like playing the Prism here. Actually, you can play the Prism for 3. Yeah, see, this is crazy, right? So now he has the Prism for...
Doesn't even pay 1 extra for that.
Well, no, he taps 3 lands, and he spends black mana for Thalia,
right.
blue mana,
exactly.
and white mana for the Prism.
Right.
And now it comes in at 3. So now Ken he still has to draw... He has to draw Adnos, and I think he's still dead.
And a mana source.
Right.
So here I would fire off the Serum Visions.
He can't. He's got unless you pay with the Prism.
I would pay with the Prism.
Well, the thing is, right, the Prism is... He's got 4... No, so if he draws a mana source, he's 1 short again if he uses the Prism to cast the Visions.
Right, but he's not priced in... Because he can tap the Gemstone as well. So this maximizes the mana usage. And he has another turn, right? Because he's at 1, he's going to go to negative, 10 or something here.
This is an attack for a 2, 4, 6, 8, 10... 13?
Yeah, so...
Yeah, 13, okay.
Yeah, which...
oh, he's just going to Angel's Grace instead.
Yeah.
So he's going to stay at 1.
Yep. So this is going to buy him an additional turn.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you like taking the unlife hit there? Like, he's still pretty dead soon.
The Angel's Grace is dead if you don't use it now.
Oh, that's right, because it doesn't... And he draws another one.
Yeah.
Okay. I would, here now, obviously, you cast the Serum Visions.
Yeah, here...
I mean, you're looking for an Adnos, the third Adnos in, your top, 20 cards, but that's, that's what you have to do with this deck, right?
Right. So, also importantly, Isaac doesn't have colorless, so he can't blink the Displacer.
So, Ken is going to find an Unlife and a Mystical Teachings. Probably going to be a little bit too slow.
No, I think this is just on time. If Isaac can't draw a color source, Ken will win the game.
Really? How is Ken going to make 8 mana, though?
He doesn't have to do it in 1 turn. He can do it over 2 turns.
No, but he needs 8 mana on his go-off turn.
Right, so this turn he Angel's Graces again, so he fogs again.
Yep.
Next turn he's going to draw the Mystical, and he can cast the Mystical, find the Ad Nauseam.
Okay.
He has to burn a counter off of the...
Oh, wait, Unlife is good with Ad Nos.
Yes.
Oh, so this is the part where I'm actually bad at Magic.
Unlife is
Unlife is how you win. Okay.
Yes.
This is fine.
Yeah.
I completely forgot that Unlife is, you go Unlife Adnos, and that is also game winning.
That is game. So here Ken has he has enough mana to cast the Mystical Teachings. He does not have enough mana to cast the Adnos.
So he has to go Teachings, draw land.
Yes.
Draw untapped land.
Yes.
I believe in him.
And that is the only turn he has to do it, because this is going to be his Phyrexian Unlife turn.
Oh, wow. This is right.
Oh, Inferno, there's a very good point you put out. The first strike is incredibly relevant here.
Ooh, wow,
man.
Okay.
What a beating.
Yeah, so wait, he's just dead.
Ken is just actually dead.
Yep. Wow, that is... Jeez. I did not
I completely forgot.
Yep.
It's never relevant.
I guess he was pushing the Thalia forward for a reason there.
Yeah.
I mean, Ken can, miss... I don't even know.
Short of cheating, there is no way out of this.
Yeah, I mean, and it seems like...
You can't even Mystical for Angel's Grace.
Right, well, you can.
You can't cast the Angel's Grace.
Yeah, you can. He has 6 mana. He has Prism plus 4. Oh. That doesn't work. He needs 7.
He needs 7. Yes.
Man, Thalia's so good. Tide Hollow Sculler, so good.
It's funny. Thalia has, in so many ways, won the game.
Jeez. Yeah, and that's going to do it. Wow, so we missed, a bunch of things that game, which is our bad, but also that was crazy. That was so close.
It's very... Yeah, without the Thalia, it would not have been close. Even though Isaac had double Tide Hollow Sculler to take...
Oh, yeah, he would have just Teachings for...
Right, no,
Adnos go off.
Yeah.
Looking at some darknesses here in Ken's board. Looking at some, he's got Leyline of Sanctity. I like Leyline of Sanctity against Thought-Knot and Sculler.
Yeah, Leyline will do quite a bit of work here.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I really like Leyline. Ken sort of tossing it around.
Teachings was 2 Arbiters, also a little less good.
Oh.
I think...
Right, you know what? I quit. That's... Whew.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Okay. We're
off our game today.
Garbage. Jeez. All right. Well, we're going to pull up Leonin Arbiter so we don't forget that. Thank you, Stefan H.
Yeah, Ken took Ken topped the teachings with such conviction.
I know, right? We were like,
yeah, of course it's good. No, but it looks like Ken may have also missed the interaction there.
Oh well.
the 9 mana mystical teachings is a little less good.
Yeah, like by a little less, you mean a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. So. That is, that's rough, to say the least. So yeah, we're going to, go to game 2 here. Ken's going to be on the play, and, yeah, I don't know. This will be interesting. I feel like this matchup, Isaac, has Thalia just so good, and Sculler ripping apart hands. And once you have a displacer and you start like blinking stuff,
right.
like blinking a Sculler, then it's like,
yeah, once you have 6 mana, you can permanently exile a card.
Because you blink, yeah.
You blink.
Pretty gross.
Pretty gross.
Pretty gross.
Yeah, this is
It's weird though because if he doesn't draw those pieces, he's just super dead.
This is probably short of like aggro decks. This has got to be one of Ken's worst matchups.
Sculler, Flicker Wisp to kill Prism, Strangler to kill Bloom. Ooh, wow, we didn't even think about Wasteland Strangler. Exile, put your Lotus Bloom into the graveyard.
Yep.
Yikes.
Wasteland Strangler has a pull from Eternity clause on it.
Yeah, it's pretty good, especially when your opponent needs those. So
yeah, this is probably one of Ken's worst matchups, right? Like short of maybe Infect.
Yeah,
I can't think of a more hateful matchup. I mean, Isaac even has a couple Thought Seizes as well, right?
Yeah, right. So that's not good for Ken either. I mean, I really.
Yeah, Wasteland Strangler will need a creature to target, but I think I'm fine with that interaction.
Yeah, I mean, kill your Lotus Bloom for 3 mana just sets him back so far.
Well, it's also kill one of your creatures.
Yeah, I mean, so what I'm saying, though, is, if you for 3 mana, the only thing you do is kill their Lotus Bloom, it's not the worst, right? It could just be dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also, Stefan H said, Flicker Wisp your stuff. Eat it with Strangler.
Yeah, this
Okay, so this matchup is actually way worse than I thought it was.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I
just have never played Adnos in a real way.
Well, realistically, Isaac drew a ton of hate that game. Double Tidehollow Sculler is incredibly powerful.
Thalia.
But really, it was Thalia.
Yeah.
Thalia set Ken back
multiple turns.
Multiple turns.
I guess the teachings is pretty bad because of those arbiters, but all right, we're going to look at hands here. Angel's Grace, Darkness, Serum Vision, Sleight of Hand, Simian Spirit Guide for Ken. I feel like that's a keeper.
Yeah, you're not excited about it?
It's not really fast, but, sometimes you just got to do it.
You do have 2 cards that will, filter you into better cards. It's just the problem with this hand
he's looking at an Adnos on the top here with that Sleight of Hand.
Right. The problem with this hand is you not only have to find a lot of mana, you have to find the Adnos as well.
I mean, he did find the Adnos.
Which he did.
Yeah, so we'll see what Isaac has here turn 1. Isaac's best play is Aether Vial, but he's just going to play a land and pass. Draw for Ken another Simian Spirit Guide.
Okay. So this is also a kind of an important draw step, because this means that Ken no longer has triple Simian Spirit Guide to cast the Lightning Storm. So he has to actually get to 1 extra to ad nauseum.
Wait. Why?
Because he has 2 in hand.
But isn't your whole deck just in your hand when you Adnos?
Yes, but you won't have if you use the Simian Spirit Guides to cast.
Oh yeah. But like, okay, so this is a Thalia here. Yeah, if you use Simian Spirit Guides to cast Adnos, I agree.
Oh right, sorry, that is what I meant.
Okay, but if you don't do that, which right now you're not under a whole lot of pressure, you do have a Thalia, but like no real reason to do that.
Right.
Then I 100% will agree with you.
So again, Ken needs to get the 7 mana here to combo off.
Yes, he does.
So he's a ways off, especially if you can draw Pentad Prism.
Very good here because
you're
Thalia's
there.
interaction with that is unfavorable.
Yeah, Pentad Prism puts you pretty much there.
Yeah, Pentad Prism plus a land or whatever. But yeah, so now let's see what this is for Isaac. This is going to be an Arbiter. Okay. Ghost Quarter. Ooh, rough life.
No, because you can pay for it.
Oh, just pay? Yeah.
This is just pay.
Yeah. Ken says pay. Float.
I don't know if Isaac remembered that.
Yeah, and so Ken is going to... I assume he's going to search for a basic.
I think
he's thinking about what color he needs to get here.
Right. Isaac may have forgotten about that interaction.
Yeah, Ghost Quarter your opponent without being able to really without strip mining them is like maybe not. You're gonna find an island.
You know what play we just made? We made a strip mine. No, Isaac just discarded a card effectively.
Yeah, basically, as long as Ken has basics to search, like it gets him off double black for now, I guess. But like, okay.
Yeah.
Like I'm Adnos, I don't care about that. I think I don't at least. Like I think he's got another black land in hand, and
I mean, it may as well lead off on the center.
Yeah, I agree. One of the other things actually that I was gonna say is when Ken started his second turn, he cast his Serum Visions, and then played a Temple of Deceit. I like playing the Temple first, looking at the top card.
Yeah. Because
then you can, if it's good, you immediately get to draw it. If it's bad, you know. And here, Ken, fortunately, you're going to bottom a Lightning Storm, pass the turn back. Again, his hand is, like, the mana is just not there, and Isaac draws a Tide Hollow Scholar right on time.
Yep. The Tide Hollow Scholar is going to be excellent.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
This is going to be a jam for 4, though. So Ken's going to go to 14. And Isaac gonna go to 19 to cast this Scholar. Ken probably gonna lose the.
Ooh, Ken drew a third Simian Spirit Guide?
I feel bad.
Oh man, this is like Ken skipped 3 draw steps.
Yeah, no, he's just like, this is horrible. Like, how do you. It's hard to recover from that many just actual bricks on your draw step. So now Ken is in trouble because he has a Fog.
He has a Fog, so I mean.
Darkness is a modern legal card, funnily enough. Just that's not it though.
You're gonna it's alphabetical.
Why? Oh, here we go. Okay, this card's modern legal. This is just Fog in black.
Yeah, color shifted Fog.
But yep, Ken gonna go to 8 from this attack here, and Displacer is gonna hit the board. Notably, Isaac does have colorless. He has another Ghost Quarter. He has the Caves of Koilos. So on upkeep, here comes the Ghost Quarter. Target your Dark Slick Shores. I like this. Ken can pay, but he'll need to fetch a black source. He's just going to take it. Okay.
There's a very good chance that Ken doesn't have any...
Basic Swamps.
Yep. Or just basics left in deck. Keep in mind that it's... you're not getting Path to Exiled.
Yeah, that's true.
So...
I'm going to go look this... I'm going to go look at MTG Goldfish. See what a stock Adnos list will play. Because, okay, lands, most of them are playing Esper colored basics, but I don't know.
There's a chance Ken might not be.
Yeah, I understand that as well.
But this is Ken drawing the Simian Spirit Guides means he just when you do that you just skip your draw step.
Yeah, this is just like, and now this is just really bad for him.
The first one is acceptable to draw because that's Lotus Petal.
Yeah.
The second one is
pretty bad.
Pretty
Darkness
bad.
Here gonna come in from Ken though, gonna negate all combat damage this turn. The problem is this doesn't really get him closer to winning. Isaac gonna play a Ghost Quarter and pass. On upkeep, I assume he's gonna target the black source again.
Yeah.
Just make Adnos impossible to cast. Zap. Down it goes. Ken not gonna pay again. Draws a Lotus Bloom, probably a little bit too late.
Yeah, a little too late. He can Angel's Grace the Fog again.
But
this is a
that's
much
not
worse fog.
saving you.
Yeah, this is
and also now the Tidehollow Sculler Blink is online with the Displacer Flicker Wisp. Now the draw, so big yikes. Attack for everything. Ken throws down the Angel's Grace, but this is not. So I guess he goes to 1 here too.
Yeah, this is we'll put him to 1. Like once you're behind like this, there's just no way to recover.
And Ken draws a land, extends the hand slowly. Isaac Sherman gonna get it. 2 games to nothing. Black and white, Eldrazi taxes, taking it over Ken Ropiak on ad nauseum. Yeah, I mean, as someone who didn't really understand how this matchup before I just saw it played now, good stuff. Isaac pulling stuff out of his deck here that presumably he sideboarded. Stony Silence, very good against Lotus Bloom, Pentad Prism. Did he pull out a Zealous? I guess it helps you race, question mark? I guess if you have bad cards, you do that. Let's see, what else is he going to take out here? Scrolling through, Path to Exile there, probably not ideal. Popohad, Sherwin is here. He is judging this event. Everyone loves Sherwin. I think I saw, okay, so triple Stony, single Zealous. I guess Zealous is good because they don't kill your creatures at all, and then it's just like you just give your team a buff and kill them. That's actually not bad. I don't hate that. I guess it depends on what you took out for it, but yeah, that seems perfectly reasonable in this matchup. Which is weird, you'd think, because you want to usually use Zealous to win creature combat, but it also is fine here? Question mark. Ken, looking at the board, what? I have no idea what that card is, but it's Mystical Teachings, Pact of Negation, and Spoils the Vault. Duh. Yeah. So and the Spoils the Vault out there. So Dan is out of the booth currently, looking for another match. We should have, hopefully, it's only halfway through the round, so hopefully there's someone who still hasn't gone to Game 3. We can get him on camera. All right. So Nacho823, Elves tonight. We actually saw Elves round 1. I don't know what you're, if you're able to check the VODs for the page, but if you're on the live page and you go to past broadcasts and you click on this broadcast, you should be able to see we had green-black Elves versus blue-white Control, which was an interesting matchup. A couple decisions by the Elves player with Collected Company weren't ideal, but we did see Elves already tonight. TARDIS Lover in terms of green-white or green-black Tron. So I think there's one person I know who generally plays Urza lands, who is here tonight. Hang on a second. Oh wait, maybe he just came in and didn't stay. Do you know if Wowerman stayed, James? Do you know if he stayed? Oh,
yeah.
He did. Okay. We had a request for Tron.
Speaking of which,
for land. Are we going to see Tron?
We're having James play against Vincent here. What? James Lauerman is about to play against Vincent here. And
different Vincent.
Yes, this is not Adenolfi. This is a different Vincent. Going to Game 3 here. It's going to be Green Red Tron against Bant Cards.
Bant Cards. All right, that's enthusiastic.
I don't know if it's.
Is this Game 3, by the way?
This is going to be Game 3. It didn't seem like Bant Spirits because.
Maybe Bant Coco.
There was Voice of Resurgences and stuff.
I feel. So we have
definitely Bant Coco because there were spell callers and
Okay, so
the
that
left
was
is
Vincent.
No,
he's got Court of Calling in that right there, and Spellskite and stuff.
Oh, okay, perhaps.
He's got Explore. There. Oh wait, no, maybe that is.
No, that's definitely James.
Yeah, okay.
That's definitely James.
Why did
that's
he had Court of Calling in his sideboard?
That can't have been Court of Calling.
We're gonna ask him about that after this. I swear I saw Court of Calling. Chat, back me up.
It is. I mean, that can't be a sideboard. There cannot be a Court of Calling. in Green Red Tron.
I don't know, dude. I saw a Chord of Calling. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, getting a triple green seems ambitious.
All right.
Although once you do, you can chord into Ulamog, I guess.
You know what? You should go ask him if that was a Chord of Calling I saw on his board. Just do it, Dan. I swear I saw a Chord of Calling.
Are you sure it wasn't a Silver Scrying?
In my, I don't know. You know what? Whatever. Stay here. We'll find out afterwards.
That seems like a much more reasonable card.
Yeah, Coco in the Tron deck. Yep. No. Okay. So I'm just gonna get. Yeah, Kluger MTG agrees with me.
Oh, was it?
Kluger agrees.
Oh, okay. Perhaps it was just a card he just happened to have. I'm not assuming that ever comes in ever. Yeah.
All right, man.
But
just you wait.
But yeah, looking back on our last match, that's gonna be one of the least close games of Magic we've seen in a while.
I know, right? Like,
and then
we're gonna go with Bant cards in Green Red Tron here.
And at no point in either games 1 or 2 did it seem like
Ken had a chance at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's
it was deceptively close.
That's the turn 2 Thalia for you, though, right?
Well, I spoke to Ken outside, and he mentioned like in game 2 he was a turn off from casting ad nauseam and from comboing out. Yeah. But then I responded to him as like, if you use your Simian Spirit Guides to do that, how do you cast Lightning Storm? You can draw your deck, that's fine. You can even have Lab Maniac in hand. How do you cast any of these cards?
It's unclear.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Yeah, so we're gonna watch. I mean, you said banned cards, so we're watching banned cards.
Yeah, it's
Benjamin Barry, Chord for Worm Coil. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Or I mean, I know Thragtusk is a card that also
Chord for Thragtusk is good.
8 mana for a 5/3 that dies.
Gains you 5 life, man.
Yeah.
So it looks like we've got Birds of Paradise and some stuff. I didn't see the rest, but we're going to start off with a star off a tower for James. Draw a card. Oh, that's a Retreat to Coral Helm. Okay, so this could be Bant Retreat. This is reasonable.
Yeah.
Tap the forest, though.
Yeah. I mean, a little poor sequencing there.
The forest does need to be tapped.
Yeah, I mean,
but
if he tries to do something with the forest,
if he casts a Giant Growth on his birds this turn, we'll know.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sylvan Scrying here, and this is going to be I don't recognize.
Okay, so the one that looks like a tower is actually a mine. The one that is a tower is in fact tower.
Okay, so he's going to get Tron here.
Yeah. Yeah,
big vomit.
The bottom one
so
is
that's a Knight of the Reliquary here.
Yeah.
Oh wow! So actually, Vincent's just gonna go off next turn with the Knight because he has the retreat.
Yeah.
So James has to do something now.
Yeah.
If he Karns the Knight, duh. But he can't just play Oblivion. Oh, he has a Karn. Okay, it's fine. But he can't just play Oblivion Stone, for example, because he won't be able to activate it, and then Vincent will just kill him.
Can they one-shot you with retreat?
Yes, they can.
Oh, right, because of the fetch lands.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
It doesn't matter, though, because that's getting exiled.
Yeah. It's better than exiled. It's exiled with maybe ultimate fun.
Alt the Karn, cool. Do you have a 3-mana 2/2? I guess you can, I don't even know. You can sack your forest, your basic forest, for additional Tron lands. Ooh, wow, man. Good plays. Okay, so retreat to Coral Helm here for Vincent. We're gonna give this card the old look-see.
Yeah.
This card very, very powerful with Knight of the Reliquary because it enables generally a 1-turn kill combo.
Right. So with the birds in play, this makes it's effectively Lotus Cobra.
Yeah, well,
Lotus Cobra or Scry.
Right, but with a Knight in play, it's make a humongous Knight.
Yeah. Of note, it's not infinite, right?
It's not infinite. It's limited by how many lands you have. But theoretically, you can sack almost all of your lands and make your Knight into more than a 20/20.
Right, and the way you do that is you sack a forest or plains. You get a fetch land.
Yeah.
You fetch for a forest or plains. You sack that, get a forest of plains, and keep in mind you get double triggers off of.
Yeah, so you're untapping and tapping.
Yeah.
But right now, this is what Tron does, right? They play Karn, they plus, they target you, you give it a retreat. Wow, don't give him the combo, man. Oh, dude, if I'm James, I 100% go for this.
You can't really. You have one forest in your deck.
Oh, would you have to? It has to be a sacrifice a forest or a plains.
Yes, it's not sacrifice a land.
Dang. Deeply upset. Okay, well, that's not as good as I thought it was.
So Vincent has to make the. One of the problems against playing against Tron is you have to play. You have to keep Path to Exiles in hand, which Vincent happens to have one in hand.
I mean, here's the deal, though. That's a worm coil. This is the classic Tron doing Tron things on Tron's timetable. Pretty good.
Yep. So Vincent's gonna get a trigger from this.
From the fetch land entering.
Yeah, and I think he's gonna sack in response to the trigger.
Yeah, so that he can get double scry.
Right.
I mean, you've got to wonder what he has, though. Like, what?
I'm looking for a collected company.
But what do you Coco into?
I mean,
do you Coco into Phantasmal Image and copy their worm coil?
Sure, or you can Coco into just like Double Knight and just kill you with them.
Oh, I guess this is James' end step, right? No, Vincent played a land.
Yep.
So this is Vincent's turn.
This is Vincent's turn. There's no way you win on the spot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gonna play another birds here.
Yeah.
Gonna pass the turn.
Okay, so he's gonna leave a.
He did keep the scry top though.
Yeah.
Yeah. This Knight of the this worm coil is pretty dang large.
All right, so this is a lot of mana we have access to. This is 11 mana right now.
TARDIS Lover, I think it will time you out if you link the land arts. All I know is that I've never been confused because Lauerman is actually like a super courteous and very, very good Tron player. Like I have to say, like, I've played against a lot of Tron players, and Lauerman is like super, super good about, this land is this land is this, like, oh,
ooh,
Jesus.
That's
look away, look away.
That's pretty good.
Young children watching the stream, please look away now. Oh my. All right, cool. Plague Winged your whole board. Path your worm. Who cares?
Yeah, I don't know if James,
no.
James might not have a second basic. No, it doesn't look like he does. This is fine. We've got a card on 11. Your opponent is
on 4 lands and empty board.
I'm assuming Vincent drew
Collector Company.
Yeah, or I mean, if he drew land at this point, I guess it's better
fine
to get that exile.
Oh, this is just like, yeah. Nope. Oh, he's gonna Coco in response to the plus. Okay, I like this.
Yeah,
that's a really stacked card.
The problem here is, worst case scenario, James has O-Stone blow up the world. He also has an Ulamog. He also has an Ulamog that he's going to hit.
What are those cards? It's a Tarmogoyf and a Vendilion Click.
Oh man, the Vendilion Click is timely.
This game is making me so sad.
Because the V-Click is going to take the Ulamog. Oh man, I'm so sad if I'm James. He could have. I'm so sad. I mean, you have to take the Ulamog here. This is.
Yeah.
Yep. So, Vincent looks like he took the Ulamog because you just lose to that immediately if you don't.
Yeah.
And he's gonna draw a card from there. He draws a star. So James also has Ancient Stirring, so he can try to find another Ulamog, or he can just play the O-Stone.
Yeah.
Looks like Goyf is a 6/7, but this, I mean, you know the funny thing? Can't even kill the card.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
9 power is not sufficient to kill the card.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, if I'm James, I just Ancient Stirrings here. See if I can find something spicy. If I can't find anything spicy, I just play the O-Stone.
Gotcha.
Finds a Nugan. Seems fine. Seems fine.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, Ugin -3.
Sure.
Oh, we even have mana for Star. Sure, why not?
All
right. So we have now.
This is the most valiant battle from Vince, but he's gonna give it up. It's over. It's over. Oh no, it's over. All right, Dan, see if there's anything else going on. Otherwise, we'll come back here and weep. Also, find out about Court of Calling. Court of Calling. All right, Dan is gonna hop out of the booth. Gonna go talk to those guys. Yep. So Green Red Tron. Turn 3 Karn. Take your Knight of the Reliquary. Pretty good. Pretty good. Don's game indeed, Renegade Coaster. Don's game indeed. Yeah, so... Oh. Alright, so I'm going to copy this because I don't think it came through, but, okay. Yeah, so that is going to do it for that match, in our second round. Nobody noticed that I didn't change the round number to round 2, right? Yep, nobody did. Good. Yeah, so Red Green Tron obviously still very good. I mean, Tron, right? Like you're playing the Tron Court of Calling?
God no.
What was it?
It could have been Nature's Claim. It could have been a Thragtusk. There's even a Fog.
Did you ask him?
Yeah, and I looked through his sideboard. There is no card that resembles Court of Calling.
I swear, Kluger agrees with me.
There's definitely not a Court of Calling in the Tron player sideboard.
Okay, well, I was wrong. So with Tron variants, like White Green Tron and Black Green Tron both have seen play recently. Black Green Tron actually won the SCG Players Championship, and we'll kick it back up to the booth here. I assume there's no more matches.
There's actually one match outstanding. That's some sort of dirtily blue-white.
But they're in
3.
They're in game 3. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So.
Oh, look! It looks like he was actually showing his sideboard.
Oh, okay. Go back.
Throw it back real quick.
Okay. So, well, some of it at least.
Yeah.
Spellskite's Relic, Nature's Claim.
Okay, yeah. So it was either a Nature's Claim or a Thragtusk. There is also a Fog that looks
and an Explore.
And an Explore, yes.
So that seems. I mean, that all seems pretty fine.
Inferno, there is in fact a burn deck in the field. I think it's a pretty stock list, and last I checked, he was doing fairly well as well.
Is that Stafford?
I believe it was Matt Stafford.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So back to the Tron variants, right? So like, green white Tron. We'll kick it back up to the booth here. Mm-hmm. Green white Tron, green black Tron, right? You're still, and green red Tron. No one's played green blue Tron yet, but they're all sharing, and there's mono blue obviously. But like, so you're sharing the green package because Ancient Stirrings is insane at finding your threats and your lands and stuff, and Sylvan Scrying obviously very good at tutoring out the last Tron piece you need. Mm-hmm. But then so there's different options, right? So like green black Tron, which won the SCG Players Championship, played by Joe Lissette, he was just playing Collective Brutality main deck.
Right.
That seems fine. Like, think about on Tron, right? Like, you sometimes will have, extra lands, extra stars, extra maps even if you don't need them, right? Collective Brutality, pitch those.
Yeah,
it's good against Burn. It's good against Infect.
Yeah, the list originally started, just as green red because it just made the most sense. You had that Grove of Burn Willows, so the land made sense. And, just like Pyroclasm was just a card that, like, okay, this is what's going to buy me, time into the late game. Mm-hmm. Now, as the format changes a little bit, Pyroclasm might not be good enough. That's why we went to, like, green-white, because Path to Exile was actually where you wanted to be.
And also Rest in Peace, too.
Yeah, Rest in Peace, yeah, Stony Silence, like, well, okay, perhaps not Stony Silence.
But
else, yeah, Rest in Peace is excellent. Just kind of your flavor of hate.
Right, and that's sort of the choice, right? So, like, Joe Lissette in his green-black Tron list had, multiple Ravenous Traps in the sideboard for the Dredge matchup, which, I mean, that seems really good. That obviously you can cast it for 0, but, like, sometimes, theoretically you could hard cast it, although black is, somewhat difficult.
Yeah, right. The only thing is that, short of, there's no land that quite matches Grove of the Burning Willow for what you want to be doing. As in terms of like efficiency or like. I think
like with the Tron, I guess like the problem is that it comes the other variants have to play fast lands.
Yeah.
So like Blooming Marsh in Joe Lissette's Green Blacklist and Razor Verge Thicket in the Tom Ross popularized Green Whitelist. Those come in tapped, so obviously they're not, like, after you have Tron on, they'll come in tapped, but it doesn't seem to have sort of hurt the deck enough that it makes it, sometimes having to play a tapped instead of an untapped splash color source is backbreaking.
Right. I mean, it's most unfortunate if you're you're looking for a green source and then that's the green source you draw, but it comes into play tap.
Right.
Other than that, usually you want to be casting the colored spells early in the game.
And also mentioned by Inferno here in the chat, there's the possibility that you could theoretically play Fatal Push in the Green Blacklist.
Yeah, I mean, I see that,
I think that's fine.
possible. Yeah,
that seems good. Like, now you're playing Tron. It's like honestly better path for Tron, right? Like they, with path sometimes you obviously with every deck you accelerate your opponent and they kill you quickly. But with Tron, your late game is so inevitable that like it doesn't
fine. Yeah.
Right. It doesn't matter. So yeah, Fatal Push seems good, and also Fatal Push, like, you can turn on Revolt super easy.
Yeah, but even if you don't turn in Revolt, even if Fatal Push just read, had no Revolt clause, it was just a top half. It would
still be really
I would argue that
good.
it would still be played. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think the ability to go bigger with it though is nuts.
Right. Well, it's just in Modern, there's not a whole lot of things that get played with CMC 3 or 4, like creatures.
Yes. I mean, in the Jund list, you're seeing like one or two, Kalidas, Huntmaster.
Right.
You see Tassigers, Gurmag Anglers out of Delver, which obviously is like somewhat of a real deck.
You see Worm Coils.
Coil. I mean, Worm Coil from Tron, but like Path is obviously always best against Tron, and like they're just a lot of decks. You're just like, cool, my Tron matchup is garbage. Like, hope they all lose to Infect round 1.
Right. And on the flip side, there are certainly decks that it's like, oh man, my Tron matchup's amazing. Like you play you play Infect, and it's just like, oh well, I guess I have a bye.
Right, and that's the that's sort of the nature of it though, is like Fatal Push not being good against Tron, I feel like is not like people aren't going to care, but Fatal Push not being good against like Tassiger decks is like somewhat more relevant, because you want, like, those are the decks where like you actually have a legitimate shot at going over them in the late game, like if you can kill their Tassigers or whatever.
What this is an argument for is that like you can't just cut all of your Terminates for Fatal Pushes. Like, they don't necessarily replace each other.
Yeah, it's it's pretty close, especially like right as Fatal Push comes out, as people sort of see like how good is, like, once, because like obviously the card seems objectively very powerful, and like no one is disagreeing with that, and it will be played in multiples in lots of decks. Right. But like the question then becomes, sort of like, what is the threshold, right? Like people are gonna have to get a feel for like, okay, so Fatal Push is killing like these creatures, killing all my creatures, and this is like too devastating. I need to run more Tassigers or more fish, or like Fatal Push is another removal spell that I have to battle through, but like ultimately it's just copies 5 through 8 of Path or something. Right. And at that point, right, like, you either go into more Tassiger or whatever big creatures, or you just keep it the same if it's not as oppressive as people are.
There's an argument that the card that gets cut for Fatal Push is Bolt. I mean, because with Bolt, the only thing...
Oh, I 100% agree with you. It's just sort of scary to hear those words. Like, my goodness.
Because, the only thing that Bolt does, it can go face and it can kill Planeswalkers. Mm-hmm. Right? And Fatal Push usually covers everything else that Bolt can do. And the going...
And more.
Yeah, going face is, like, super relevant. But, like, if you're playing Jund, for example, like, yes, I've certainly won a lot of games, like, with bolting them out. But...
most of the time, you just want to kill all their creatures and kill them with a glaive.
Right, and maybe you can shave like on Terminates, but Abrupt Decay, still fulfills the catch-all function. Like I'd be a little surprised to see like all the copies of Abrupt Decay shaved for it. But this might be give you an opportunity to like maybe shave a Terminate.
I think
maybe
shave
like some bolts.
I think in a Grixis deck, like Grixis Delver, for example, you probably aren't going to shave bolts just because you have Snapcasters and like bolting people out of the game is part of your plan sometimes. But I agree that in Jund, that this card could probably replace 2 or 3 bolts for sure. Mm-hmm. Right? Like you think about like you're saying, like this kills basically everything that Bolt kills.
Yeah. And
the only thing that Bolt hits that this doesn't hit is the front half of a Thragtusk, but that's fine.
Yeah, the thing with Bolt is always like the upshot of it was always like, oh, you can kill an attacking Raging Ravine with a trigger. Or you can...
Now you can just kill Raging Ravine whenever you want. It's great.
Yeah, it's kind of absurd.
I think the killing of manlands is, I think, and we talked about this a little bit before, but
and the killing of
it's insane.
planeswalkers. Like let's not forget that like that's a very relevant node on Lightning Bolt. You can kill
Yeah,
planeswalkers with it.
yeah, like you attack Lily down and then you bolt her out. Like, and again, these are all things, maybe, right? Like this card is going to have sort of unforeseen ripples on the rate. I don't think it's not going to completely push things out, but it's going to change the ratios at which things are played. Like I could totally see Tasker coming back in like much larger numbers than it already exists if Fatal Push gets really popular.
That card alone is very exciting for like just across the formats. I'm really excited to see what this does to Standard because now this is like a very clean way of dealing with like Grimflayers. This is a very clean way of dealing with Sylvan Advocates,
Smuggler's Copter,
with Copter, with Manlands, and Manlands get played in abundance.
Yeah, it's just it's the best fixing around.
Right.
This card killing Servant of the Conduit is not irrelevant. This card, like you said, Grimflayer, I think the biggest one that a lot of people have sort of been like, oh please Wizards, has been Smuggler's Copter, right? Like,
importantly, there is a card that this doesn't kill. It does not kill Ishkana.
Yeah, it does not kill the spider, and it will never kill the spider.
Right.
So you gotta worry. If someone plays the spider and you're like, Fatal Push. Storm Count 1, Fatal Push your Iskana. Doesn't do anything.
And it is interesting the wording on Revolt as well. It's not goes to graveyard, which is a lot of the triggers used.
Just
to be.
left the battlefield.
This is left the battlefield. So this will also have interesting synergies with blink effects.
And this is probably almost certainly going to be played in the Black-White Eldrazi Taxes deck that we saw.
Yeah.
They have Leonin and Arbiter plus Path is their sort of super good combo, but like they have Displacer, Blink, one of your creatures, get a positive effect, kill one of your guys, Revolt, kill one of your guys, and I'm consistently very impressed with like the way that the mechanics are sort of named. I don't know. I just think that Revolt sounds really cool.
Yeah, it is interesting too because this gets around Kalidas as well. Like just because your creature got exiled doesn't matter.
You still just kill.
You're still gonna turn it on. Yeah. And that might be a reason why it is worded this way. Yeah. Because cards like Kalidas and then the forum before that Anafenza. Yeah. Like there was a lot of strange interactions where all these death triggers. All of a sudden like you don't get anything.
Right, but now with Revolt you'll turn it on, and there's there's a lot of very interesting Revolt cards that have sort of been spoiled so far. But I think this is obviously the one that people are just like, modern, please.
Yeah, well this just is so cheap that.
Why would you not, right?
Yeah, the cost is so low. Like this, I think even costing 2. Would definitely see play in Standard. But still,
for sure.
Still be a play card if it costs 2.
Yeah, maybe not as much in Modern. Smother is generally going to be better on average.
Right.
But at one, just like, I just like, honestly, there's been, in the past, I don't know, however many sets, a fair number of sets, people have been sort of very like, oh, well, Wizards print
better answers.
Well, they print better answers, and like, obviously some cards will make it from every set into Modern, but like, it doesn't seem like they're really focusing on Modern. This is one of those cards where it's like they, maybe they weren't focusing on Modern, but it feels like they were, and I love it. Yeah. Like, wow.
And with that, we're gonna take a quick break here. We're gonna step outside, see where the round is, and we should be back in about 3 or 4 minutes here.
Yeah, we'll put 4 minutes on the clock, guys. Don't go anywhere. MTG Card Market Modern. We'll be back. 4 minutes. See you then. Oh, no. Oh, we were muted the whole time. All right, well, whoopsies. Yep, so we were muted the whole time. Still a little bit rusty. Yikes. Yeah, so that's our bad. Specifically my bad because I'm the one who does the overlay things. Yeah, we will not be muted the next time we come back from another break. But we are going to throw it down to the play overlay now because Dan is out there getting a match. Sorry about that again, guys. Yeah. All right. Play overlay, life totals, round timer, etc. All right. So yeah, after seeing Bant cards just get demolished in a very real way by Green Red Tron last round, you know, maybe this round we will see something new and exciting. All right. So, 2 players on the table. So that's going to be Lindsay. And yeah, we should get this third round underway pretty shortly. The last round with that. So, you know, in what was muted, we were talking about a blue-white control mirror that went to time last round, and there were multiple D-spheres on each side and stuff. And then we talked about D-sphere, importantly, not being able to exile itself, etc., 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 yada, yada. But now we are going to be watching Matthew Stafford, who is not the Detroit Lion. No? Who are we watching, Dan?
We were watching Lindsay playing as Joseph Natali.
Oh, you're right. Okay. Yes. So, on the left here, we're going to have Joseph Natali. Shop regular, I'd say. Plays a lot of different stuff. Used to play Dredge pretty regularly. Before Dredge was cool, mind you. We're talking like Vengevine.
Right.
You know, so that would be, you know, but he's no longer, I think he's playing some Snapcaster deck tonight, and he is playing against Lindsay Hardwick.
Yes.
I do not know her, but I've seen her around a couple times.
Yeah, Lindsay is on Green Red Tron tonight.
Oh, so she's also on Tron.
She's also on Tron. Joseph is on Grixis Delver.
Ooh, this is actually an interesting matchup. Normally, Tron has a very good time against blue control decks, but one of the things with Delver is if you can play a Delver and a fast Tasigur and sort of keep green-red off balance, you can actually take games, which is most of the time not something that decks with blue and red in them can say, unless you're like, you know, Teamer Battle Rage. Oops, Grixis Delver, not Grixis Natali. Yep.
Also, a lot of the Delver decks play a lot of tempo cards like Remand, and, you know, if you play turn 1 Delver, you know, turn 2 Pyromancer or something, and then just back it up with a bunch of counter magic, that will be
a lot of the time it's good against Tron. Yeah. That being said, sometimes this matchup, you know, does the normal Tron versus blue things, and you just get turn 3 card and you don't have the counter, and then you lose the game.
Right. It can certainly snowball out of hand.
Yeah. And so yeah, we'll see. You know, Joseph obviously will be trying to prevent that. Both these players having a pretty good night so far. They're both 2-0. So, found favorable matchups. One of the things definitely is that Tron is not as popular here as I know it is in other places. Like, we've had, you know, 2 Tron players tonight, but that's like, you know, 2 more Tron players than we've had in for a long time before the break.
Right. I think these are the only 2 Tron, people who, like, somewhat regularly play Tron.
Yeah. And, you know, some people, like, the deck is... pilot experience is so... I feel like, I don't know, I've played a very little bit of Tron, and I was, like... And someone who knew how to play Tron watched me, and I was just, like, the least efficient Tron player ever to Tron. So, you know, there's definitely little things with the deck that you have to recognize.
Right. There are certainly games where, you know, the deck plays itself, and you just win the game.
Right, but there are also games where you have to figure out, you know, what is your... Like, you have where you have to, like, you know, make educated guesses about what are you going to stir and stuff.
Yeah, and play the percentages of what's left in your deck.
Right. Looks like Joseph is going to mull here, though. Not fighting as any. Like, one of the things with the Grixis Delver decks is that they play 19 lands, sometimes 20, and frequently leads to somewhat unkeepable hands when you have, like, multiple Tassigers and no enablers and that sort of thing.
Right. And
Or just like no lands. That's also a real thing.
Yeah, it's the same legacy problem, but your filtering your card selection is much worse.
Right. Yeah. With legacy, you get away with one landers all the time because you just play a Delver within days what they do.
Right.
Whereas in you gotta hit your land drops to a degree. Like this deck wants like 3 lands usually ish because then you can cast all your spells because you have Kolaghan's Command.
Yeah, and looking at Lindsay's hand, she kept a very land heavy hand.
Yeah, I saw that.
But has an Ancient Stirrings, so we can definitely find action from that.
Right, and that's one of the powers of the deck. So Joseph is going to go to 21 here off the Grove of the Burn Willows. I mean, I'm sure he would prefer to not have seen Grove into Stirrings. Gonna look at the top 5 cards here. I think she has like Tron on turn 4, right? Like,
yeah, she has a lot of Tron pieces. In hand.
So she is actually going to take another Tron piece. So maybe she doesn't have the redundancy, or maybe she has too much redundancy.
Right.
Okay, so gonna pass it back over to Joseph. Joseph gonna start off on a Wooded Foothills, not the
Grixis fetch.
Not the Grixis fetch of choice, but like honestly, it probably fetches Steam Vents, right? Yeah, which it will here. So he'll go to 18. If he has a Delver here, yeah, okay, this is where you want to be.
Exactly. Yeah, and we will see this from a lot of modern players, where it's like you don't quite want to buy into Scalding Tarn. So, for all intents,
as someone who played Modern for like an entire year without owning Scalding Tarns, I completely agree with you.
Right. You do lose a percentage point or two because sometimes that causes you to take a little bit too much damage, but for the most part, it's totally fine.
And here, Lindsay, gonna go with a Bolt on the Delver. Obviously, ideal for her. Taking damage for that Delver would be disastrous. Joe is he's gonna go to his turn. Serum Vision, Scry. Not sure what he's gonna do with those, but. You obviously want to try to hit a second land drop here and get a Delver or something back on the board.
Right.
He's not too far off of Tassiger, especially if he has a fetch land, and he has a Tassiger in hand here. So if he has a second land,
if he has fetch,
he has tapped.
Yeah.
Okay. So this still doesn't cast Tassiger. It's only 5 cards, but he's closer than he was before.
Right.
Lindsay has like a lot of like you said, a lot of lands, but. I don't see the threats in her hand, so maybe they don't. I mean, I guess this is another Ancient Stirring. So.
Yeah, I believe that's what she just drew. She drew another Stirring.
That's so good.
Which is excellent, yeah.
Ancient Stirrings. Yeah. So this is, very, very strong cantrip. She's going to look at, again...
Ooh, not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot. She's thinking about the Sphere or the O-Stone. I don't hate the O-Stone here, but I also respect taking the Sphere because you just are trying to draw cards.
Yeah.
That being said, 2 pretty disappointing Stirrings.
Yeah. The first Stirrings, I mean... Yeah, I would not be thrilled if I was in Lindsay's position.
I mean, that's the thing, though. Okay, I lied.
The Ugin, though. Ugin's pretty good.
Ugin is, almost unbeatable.
Yeah.
You have to, play Tassiger here. She'll minus the Ugin 6, and then you bolt the Ugin, and then you hope. But, Ugin is real good against Grixis, guys.
And we're guaranteed to get Tron here. I think Lindsay has it in hand, but just in case she doesn't. She did play a map.
And Joseph is going to pass a turn back.
Ooh.
For his sake, I hope he has the Leak, because this is 8 mana. So that is the Tron. Here comes the...
Yeah.
Is she just going to pass?
So I like this play a lot from Lindsay. We're so far ahead that we're almost to the point where we can pay for Leak next time.
Right. If you get a tower off this map, then, you can pay for a Leak, and then Joseph is really... But now... So Joseph does get to play Tassiger here, and I think he should. That being said, the Bolt, he's going to be real sad that he didn't use it on the Ugin. But ultimately, you sort of have to make this play. And yeah, so Lindsay going to tap 1 land, going to go searching for probably another tower.
Yeah. Oh no, she's going to find a Sanctum.
Oh, that's even better.
This play, this I like a lot.
All right, so this is the so we have just watched the slow end of the game. I'm not saying it's over, but this is gonna find.
This is gonna find either another.
It'll
a
find
card.
Wurmcoil. No, it can only find a creature.
Oh, right.
It'll find a World Breaker, which can exile the blue source.
Or
it can find
Ulamog.
Or it can find Ulamog. Also good. There are extra Tron lands in hand. I think Ulamog's probably the best there. But big yikes.
I don't know how you beat an Ulamog.
You don't. It's also very difficult to beat a Worm Coil for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Make some mana, draw a card with the sphere. You see, this is like the most efficient way to do it. Use the floating mana plus the Tron lands. And here's an Ugin. Crack the Sanctum in response to the cast. And search. Just get the Ulamog. You can play that next turn. Whew. So this is when we said earlier, sometimes it gets out of control. This is what that looks like.
Right.
Joseph, with his Delver getting bolted and missing his land drop and not having a Tasker Enabler like a Thought Scour, just unable to put on enough pressure.
Yeah,
and because if he plays a Tasker a turn earlier, maybe he holds up counter magic.
If Lindsay didn't have the bolt, and Joseph got a good 3 hits in with the Delver, this could be a game.
Yeah, but it's no longer. I mean, he draws a Spire Bluff, so he's got the third land, and maybe he has something to kill this Ugin. But
I mean, you're about to lose 2 of your land.
You only have 2 land though.
Yeah.
Hard life. Hard life.
We're getting to the point where it just doesn't matter.
I mean, you're gonna be on 0. Literally, you're gonna be on 0 permanents. Ooh, Forked Bolt. That's gonna go after the Ugin. Gonna take it down. We should tell them that you cannot Forked Bolt a Planeswalker and the person.
Yep. We'll go ahead and just mention that, just because the game has got to the point where
it's not gonna matter that much. Yeah. Alright, so here, this is going to be the Ulamog cast trigger, exile 2 of your lands. No, Tassiger is on the exile pile here, Inferno. There's all the stuff that was delved, and yeah, there you go. Okay. Cracker, so I think Dan did briefly talk about Affinity. It was the gist of which was the gist of the Affinity stuff was that it will probably continue to fight through the hate, although Fatal Push is extremely good against Ravager and stuff.
Yeah.
And now this Ulamog comes down, takes out all the lands. I'm not really sure what you can do here.
Yeah. Oh, and just step aside. Just clarify. When you burn a Planeswalker, what you're actually doing is redirecting damage from the player to the Planeswalker. Yeah. So you can't split the Fork Bolt between the player and the player itself.
Right, and now what we're watching here is Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, exiling the top 20 cards of Joseph's library. I think I might have conceded at this point, just because I don't know how you actually don't have ways to kill Ulamog.
Yeah, Ulamog, the indestructible bit is very difficult for Grixis to deal with because you can't path it.
You need the path, yeah, and if you don't have a path and you're on lands like this,
I mean, you have Liliana if you're running that, but
not in Delver.
Yeah, it's just I think also Joseph took 10 from that, right? Or did
he did. Yeah, he's gonna scoop it up.
Yeah.
All right, so Green-Red Tron going to go up a game on Grixis Delver. A little bit unfortunate on mana there for Joseph, but that's what Tron does, right? He stumbled a little bit, and suddenly there was an Ugin, and then there was an Ulamog, and then it was game over.
Right, and Tron, still has his place in the format as the big mana inevitability deck,
the Punisher of slow decks.
Yeah,
I mean, and the thing is with Grixis, right? If in that situation, just theoretically, the Delver had gotten in a couple hits, and a Tasker had come down a couple turns later, and then Joseph had had mana leak very reasonably for the Ugin, which Lindsay would have been unable to pay for. Mm-hmm. She does have an Ulamog in hand that she can cast next turn, but at that point we're getting very close to you get hit a couple times and get burned out.
Yes, exactly.
You get attacked for 7 by those, you're pretty close to dead. So there's not a it wasn't unwinnable for Joseph, but it just didn't work out.
Right. When you reach the inflection point of the game, and your Tron opponent is still at 20, then we have passed the point of no return.
Right. There's no possible way you're coming back from Resolve Ulamog as Grixis.
Yeah. I mean, I have your Tron opponent can get horrendously unlucky.
Mm-hmm. They can. It's just that obviously You Ancient Stirrings twice. You bottom 10 non-threat cards. You're gonna draw one of them.
Right. I mean, when I was on Jund, I did play against a Tron opponent once, who we both mulled to like 6 and both kept a 1-lander. And the Tron opponent didn't miss a land drop until I think turn 10, and I didn't hit a second land drop until like turn 8.
Who won
But Jund did.
Because you just didn't draw the...
Because like all my draw steps were Thought Seizes and Inquisition, so I took every relevant card, and they had like 20 mana, but never drew into anything that they could do.
Gross.
Yeah.
And so their Sanctum of Ugin serving up...
Sanctum of Ugin kind of functions like a one-shot Eye of Ugin.
Yeah. Eye of Ugin, also a pretty good card. Hello, Logan81100, and welcome to the stream. We hope you're enjoying it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Tonight we peaked earlier in the second round at around 90 viewers, which is super, super good for us. Like, it's high for the stream generally, but it's also, you know, we've been back for, this is like our first week back, and so we really appreciate y'all tuning in to watch this. While these players are shuffling up, we can also get to the sort of back half of Ackracker's second question here. Do you see yourself sticking to Jund once Aether Revolt releases, or do you think you'll play Junk for, you know, better Fatal Push usage? And secondly, you know, anything spicy in Jund recently, Dan?
Well, I understand order. I think I'll... If I had to play a tournament, I'd probably switch to Junk, just because now, you know, the eternal problem with Junk is that if they start off with turn 1 of Birds of Paradise, you just have no way of, like, reasonably dealing with that, unless you have cards like this figure in your deck, which you never were excited about. Junk also gives you access to stuff like Rest in Peace, which is, like, excellent hate against Dredge. And, you know, Push is just an excellent card. Yeah, so, like... If I was to play a tournament tomorrow, that's probably what I'd be on. But as it stands, I'm kind of excited to see you know, the ban list, see if there are any changes to the ban list before I make any sweeping statements.
Ooh, that's true. That's another thing that is definitely, you know, coming up and is very relevant. You know, I don't know if there are reasonable bannings right now. I don't think there. I mean, I would like to see Modern with Splinter Twin again, but that's not going to happen. So
TX Rager, this figure is pretty sweet, except when it's not. There's a lot. I mean, if you play with the card, there's certainly been a lot of times where you draw it, and this is like, it's comically bad.
Hey, how do you like Wild Nikado?
Yeah, it's like you look at a Wild Nikado, I was like, oh, this not great.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk about bans and unbans if we have time. After this round, but it looks like Joseph is going to keep 7, and Lindsay this time is going to have to mulligan. And this is one of the things with Tron is sometimes it's like, you look at a hand and your hand has like, you know, 5 cards that are CMC 6 or more, and you know, 2 lands, and it's like, oh well, sometimes you get there, but if your lands are bad or like you know, if you have 2 Tron pieces, it's like, it's so risky, especially against a deck like Grixis where you don't have infinite time. If it were against like Grixis Control, for example, you'd have more time. But the threat of Delver just, you know, Delvering you.
And you would really like to keep, you know, at least one piece of interaction, right? Like, we see in Lindsay's that she accidentally revealed the bottom of her deck. She has Warping Whales.
Warping Whirl good against Unflipped Delver. Yeah, I mean, Warping Whirl also randomly counters Crumble the Dust, which is, you know, not as relevant these days, but...
Also, you know, worst case, it can be a bad Lotus Petal.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. Card's very versatile, sees a fair bit of play in...
Alright, so it looks like Lindsay's keeping a 2-lander with a Sylvan Scrying and a couple of stars to make mana from it.
That seems pretty good.
Seems fine.
Joseph with the turn 1 Delver, Lindsay... Gonna have to think about what she's gonna do here, but I mean, this is pretty good because she just gets to scrying into the 3rd Tron piece, right? And then she's at a Karn. Okay, Joseph gonna draw, not gonna reveal for the Delver. You know, unfortunate, but that's Modern Delver for you, right? Thinks about tapping the island. Instead, it's gonna play a Swamp. Is gonna attack for 1. I think Lindsay just has natural Tron into Karn, right?
Well, pseudo-natural, right? You can't really call Sylvan Scrying natural.
Okay, but like, she is going to cast Karn on turn 3.
Yes. Barring mana leak, that is going to happen.
Sure. Okay. Draw of Expedition map here.
Let's not also forget that.
I mean, assuming that her last land is another Tron piece, though, I actually don't know what it is. Assuming that's going to get cracked for green there, draw a card, another Sylvan Scrying.
Okay.
The unflipped Delver really bad for Joe here because like this is just turns off that he could just be interacting on, right? Like, I don't actually know if that's a Tron piece on the far side. I think that might be a Sanctum. Okay, so Lindsay's in more trouble than we thought she was. It's going to take a while to get this online. But that being said, Joe doesn't have a good... Joe doesn't have a clock right now.
The fact that Lindsay's not, like, just snapping off the Sylvan Scrying...
makes me think that's not a Tron piece? Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so she does have a mana floating from the star. She's going to play a Forest. She's going to use it to cast Scrying. Okay, so she's going to cast the first Scrying here.
Right.
So Joe's going to read that. And he's going to cast Spell Pierce. Whew, that's really, really, really good. So Joe, again, now looking here, really trying to flip that Delver.
Yeah.
And he's not going to flip it. Oh, that feels so bad.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, let's not forget, like, the modern decks don't run, like, an absurd number of instances.
No, I mean, it's absolutely true. Like, there's Tassigers, there's...
you got Snapcasters.
Snapcasters, the Snapcasters are the big...
You have to play a fair number of lands.
Right. I mean, yeah, no Wasteland in this format. So flip, draw. If he draws a land, he has Tassiger. If he doesn't, then he doesn't, I guess. But he is going to find a Bloodstained Mire. So this is Tassiger with one card remaining in the graveyard. Yeah, so he'll fetch here. I imagine that goes for Steam Vents, just because you get the blue and red sources online.
Yeah, it looks like he doesn't have a follow-up play. He's not going to leave anything.
He's counting. He's counting. He's going to get the Steam Vents tapped, so he's going to go to 19.
Right.
Instead.
Well, yeah. He had the option of leaving the Steam Vents untapped for like a Spell Snare or something.
Right.
But
okay, so now Lindsay is under some pressure.
Yeah, this is a.
If the Delver flips, this is really fast. Well, but she draws a Tron piece here.
Yeah. If the Delver had flipped, Lindsay would have been at 14.
Which is much
14 looking down 7 damage next turn.
Yeah, exactly. So second Tron piece here, so that's the mine in the tower.
Okay,
so she can just scrying for...
She can scrying and play map, or she can play any number of these...
Spheres. Yeah. Crack for mana. Draw a card. If I'm Joe here, I sort of like leaving the Steam Vents untapped to represent another, like, counterspell. But that's not going to happen. So Joseph... hopefully has some sort of mana leak action going on, because that Karn is going to come down, or snap Spell Pierce. Or no, Spell Pierce is exiled now. See, this is one of the reasons I also like leaving Steam Vents untapped. Is if he doesn't have a Snapcaster, it's fine. But if he has a Snapcaster, snap Spell Pierce is relevant.
Well, no, I think I like leaving the Steam Vents untapped just to leave the Spell Pierce, so your Snapcaster live draws. It's just like being that 19 versus 17 just does not matter against Tron.
Agree.
Like, you're going to be taking damage in increments of 6.
Right. So Lindsay is going to go take some damage here. Going to go to 12. But this is, again, think about this, but she's at, like,
she's
much
at
lower.
6 instead.
Yeah, because of the Delver hits. Yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate, but here comes a Karn question mark.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't play the Karn now, you're just gonna...
What are you? Yeah,
you're gonna lose.
Yeah, I mean...
Let's also not forget, Joseph also has a free Tasker activation here.
Yeah, that's, and, you know, like, it's just free draw card, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so mana's going to get tapped, star is going to get played. Going to crack here. So one colorless, 1 mana from the star floating. So 2 mana floating. Draw a card, finds Ancient Stirrings. Okay, so, oh wow, this is kind of greedy.
This is quite greedy, unless she doesn't have a Karn in hand.
I thought she had a Karn though. Dang.
I think you just slammed the Karn if you have it, right?
I guess. Oh, and this Stirrings is really bad, actually. She does have a Karn. There's a Karn on the left.
Huh. Interesting. Because she's going to be taking a lot of damage here.
If the Delver flips and he has a Bolt, Snap Bolt, she's dead. Because it's 7. So Bolt, Snap, Bolt plus Delver is...
So what Lindsay might be doing is she wants to set up a Sanctum.
I mean,
but that seems incredibly greedy.
I feel like you can get mega punished for that. I hope Joe, so he doesn't have to activate Tassiger here, but I think he's going to. I think he also has a Bolt in hand, so he's going to flip Polluted Delta, and Counter Squall. Wow.
All right.
Okay, Counter Squall is so good.
Counter Squall, I think it's going to close the game. Just like the 2 damage is going to be relevant enough that this is not. This is.
He has 5 points of burn, and if the Delver flips, he has 7 in the air, or 7 damage. Yeah. So let's see what happens here. He's not going to flip the Delver again.
The Delver refuses.
Dude, Joseph
to
Natali's existence is suffering.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
He's missed out on 8 points of damage because he couldn't activate this.
Yep. Oh, he has a crumble.
He has
too.
a crumble. Oh, all right.
Okay.
I think we're done here. I think we're done.
Crumble, target your tower. Wow, dude, I even have Crumble the Dust on the screen already. I was like, oh, Crumble the Dust, not that big in the meta anymore, guys. Plays Crumble the Dust, whatever. It's been one of those nights.
I think we are done here. If I was Lindsay, I would probably concede in response.
I'm not seeing a Warping Whale, so yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And this is the not play your Karn that I wasn't a huge fan of, right? Like, okay.
Yeah, it's just like if you let this resolve, Joseph's gonna get a chance to see your hand, and more importantly, see what's in your deck.
Right. So.
And how do you possibly win in this position? You're gonna have what, 4 land?
I
maybe?
guess she was trying to set up the Sanctum, right?
Oh, and Lindsay didn't tap in response, so she won't even be able to activate map.
Big disaster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what's gonna happen from here.
Yeah. Yikes. Yeah. So Joseph going through trying to find all those pesky towers. I think asking a question about land art because I think he might have just shuffled past the last one.
All right, so I don't see anything too spicy. There's a couple of relics, a spell sky, a warping whale.
That's fine.
See, revealing that you have a warping whale, like 2 warping whales, is fairly significant, though.
I agree. Yeah, Joseph, I think got tripped up because there's a 4th tower that's a different land art.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, that's a real annoying. Oh, there it is, Kay. The fact that there are so many is kind of crazy.
Yeah. The thing is, even if Lindsay could tutor every draw step from here on out, I don't.
You need to tutor pull from eternity into Ewit.
Yeah, I don't know what you can do because she's only gonna have access to 4 mana next turn. There's nothing in this deck that you can cast on 4. If you're on 5, maybe Thragtusk's out.
I agree, Dan.
Yeah.
So gonna shuffle up draw. Draws the Ugin. Again, I think that she tried to set up the Sanctum and just with Joe's Delver luck, I don't know. Oh, O-Stone as well. O-Stone, yeah.
Okay. O-Stone isn't out.
Joseph. Okay, so he flips a Dreadbore too. So now she's just dead to the board? Question mark?
Yes.
Okay.
She's not dead to the board.
She's at 7, I thought.
And Bolt. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that's gonna do it. So this is what we were saying. Grixis Delver sometimes can steal these games. You have pressure, your opponent stumbles, and wow, they're dead. So it's 1-1 now. We're gonna go to game 3. Green Red Tron versus Grixis Delver. I don't know. I think that was like the classic. This is how Grixis beats Tron.
No, absolutely. I think I don't blame Lindsay for taking that line because it's very reasonable that Joseph has any number of counter spells here. But the problem is
I feel like
you're in such rough shape that even if you do set up the Sanctum, right? Even if that playing,
it's not happening.
Right. If your card gets countered, you're just going to lose. You're going to take 2 hits from this, and that's going to be enough as is.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time with counter magic, and thinking about counter magic, you have to jam. If he doesn't have counter magic, then you probably have an out because you exile the Tasigur.
Right.
Right. You eat a Delver hit.
But I mean, yeah, you can't beat counter magic, so why play around it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with SO63 in the chat here. If she exiles Tasigur, even if he crumbles, at that point it's still a real game.
See, at that point, I don't think Joseph can even crumble because he can't kill the Karn.
He has to bolt the Karn.
He has to bolt the Karn.
And then you play the Ugin.
Yeah, and then you play the Ugin, or then you
with Sanctum.
Yeah, and now we have a game.
I mean, then the game's over.
Yeah.
Barring mad burn spells.
Well, he doesn't play the Ugin, right? Because in this sequence of events, you would get he would activate Tasker in response. You get the counter squall. The counter squall would hit the Ugin. But there are lines that could happen, right? If you don't play the Karn, I think you're just dead on board.
Yeah. Tasigur on an empty graveyard like that can be so good.
Yeah,
it's just like the exact card you need sometimes just on the top of your deck. The Matrix. So Devoid is like a sort of a weird mechanic. It basically just means that Crumble the Dust, even though it costs red mana, for cards that consider the color of spells, it's considered colorless, which is a little bit confusing. But if we look at a card like Pyroblast, okay, counter target, or I guess we want Blue Blast, right?
I think you're looking at
Hydroblast. Yeah. Okay, so here's Hydroblast, for example. Counter target spell if it's red, or destroy target permanent if it's red. This card, despite Crumble the Dust costing red mana, would not be countered by Hydroblast because it's not technically red. It's part of the Battle for Zendikar Eldrazi theme stuff.
Right. The Void mechanic was something that was introduced during that cycle because a lot of cards cared about colorless things.
Yeah. So you do, yeah. So you do need to cast it with red mana, but sometimes it's just like Crumble the Dust, for example, is played because it's just better than Sowing Salt, which required double red.
Yes. All right, so we're going to get into game 3 here. Lindsay starts off with Power Plant into Expedition Map. Joseph, for the third game in a row, starts with turn 1 Delver.
Can you flip a Delver, though? That's the real question.
Yeah.
Can you flip a Delver before, like, turn 6?
Yes. All right, so did Lindsay keep a second land?
Yes, she did.
Yes, yes, she did. All right, now is it a not Power Plant? It is a power. No, it's not a mine.
I don't know anymore. Are those two the same or different? It's unclear.
Well, they're definitely
Joseph
different.
doesn't flip his Delver though, so what does it matter, man?
I'm secretly hoping that Joseph is like forgetting his Delver triggers, because like this is like horrendously unlucky.
I mean, yeah, I feel bad for the dude.
Yeah.
Does he gonna Serum Vision? Okay, he's gonna play a second Delver.
All right,
so he can be even more disappointed when it doesn't flip.
So it is interesting. Is third? Oh, okay.
Okay, so he's gonna cast Serum Visions, and if he can't find something to put on top to flip these Delvers, truly all hope is lost. Okay, I think he found something. I saw a blue card.
Yeah. All right.
Unfortunately,
yes.
Lindsay is just gonna have Tron. So
yeah.
I think those are different. I think the one on the right is a mine.
Yeah, I think the top one is a mine.
Well, if it's a Karn and she exiles a Delver,
that's fine because the other Delver would kill it.
Because but if it's an Ugin, it doesn't matter because she can't cast it. And he has Leak in hand.
If it's a Karn, no, if it's a Worm Coil though.
She has an Ulamog in hand and nothing else, in terms of like threat wise. So Ulamog's pretty good. Yeah. Ulamog will kill both Delvers.
Well, this does give her green.
She has Sylvan Scrying, yeah.
Sylvan Scrying and Warping Whale.
Oh, please, one time. You know what's brutal is when they tap one land in Warping Whale, yeah.
Alright, so that...
Karn, Stuff, Worm Coil.
Worm Coil.
No. I guess Worm Coil's really good.
Yeah, not a castable Worm Coil right now, but...
Oh, well, what a nightmare.
Alright, but I do like the Warping Whale right now. Before...
I like Warping Whale before he untaps, yeah. But, like, also next turn you just play Ulamog.
Yes, also that. But
turn 4,
because you know it's gonna flip, so you're gonna take so much damage here.
I mean, it is just 6 though, right? Like
6, especially like if you're gonna use that.
If she were at 16 right now, I'd be more worried. I'm not afraid right now.
So here's the thing, like, what are you using that Warping Whale for?
I mean, she can. Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're 100%. No, I 100% agree.
Like, if you needed the Scion, okay, maybe, but you don't even need the Scion.
Right. I don't know. Here's an attack for 6.
This is just asking to take an extra 3 for no reason, right?
Yeah.
When you have the answer in hand.
13. I mean, here comes the slam bang. Welcome to the Space Jam, though.
Yeah.
Like, this is. I don't know how you win the game. I mean, he's gonna cast Mana Leak on it, but it's gonna get both his Delver or just 2 of his lands. I hope you get the Delvers here with this, though. Respond. Find island, cast Mana Leak.
Yeah, so, like, okay, sure, you dealt with the Ulamog, great.
But is she going to kill that Delvers?
Right, but, like, think how much better this Ulamog would be if it was kill
Delver land.
Delver land instead of having to kill both Delvers.
If you don't kill both Delvers here, I don't know what's going on.
If you don't kill both Delvers, you're like...
There's an Ugin in hand. You're not afraid of anything.
I mean, that's like so greedy, though.
I mean, dude, you have that... Oh, wow.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
I mean, you get put to 7 here, but Joe has no red, dude. Like, why are you afraid? Why are you afraid?
I'm so confused why we didn't kill one of the Delvers.
I mean, it's possible. We saw, like, round 1, and Sam Schultz was like, I didn't remember what that did.
Yeah, I mean, now you're going to be to 7, and 7 is scary.
Not when he doesn't have any red sources. I'm not afraid of anything. Also, you exiled one of his Steam vents.
He's got like 5 cards in hand.
Why would you ever be afraid?
It's like 5 cards in hand.
Yeah, dude, they could all be bolts.
It's true.
This is an attack put into... So the thing is, think about, if she were at 5 here, it'd be like way more worrying if the Delver had actually flipped, but it didn't. So like...
I mean, so if you Warping Wailed before, Lindsay would be at 13 right now. And 13 is effectively infinite.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, there's no reason to be afraid. You're just gonna cast an Ugin. Why are you scared, Daniel?
You're not gonna cast an Ugin through a mana leak, though.
He's counting for Tasigur. He's definitely gonna play one. He doesn't have another leak. Fine, Blood Crypt. I'm just gonna take 3 to do this. Nah, dude, it's fine. Look. Never be afraid.
What if...
Stop being scared, Dan. What? He plays a fish instead. Alright, that's good.
Yeah, no, what if he...
Oh, this just, like, kills the Ugin when she plays it, which is fine, because she has a billion other... She has Karn and Ugin.
Okay, you cannot play the Karn here. That is too greedy.
Play the Karn.
Play
the Karn.
And go to 1.
Yeah, never be afraid.
Okay.
No. You're just gonna minus this Ugin, like, whoop. Like, you're gonna have to do that anyways because there's a fish in play.
Again, had we taken the other line, this line here would have been Karn, Exile, Gurmag Angler.
Hey, Dan, it sounds like you're afraid.
I
thought we taught you never to be afraid.
I mean, I'm a little less afraid when my opponent passes and does nothing.
Plus, you have World Breaker. I guess you don't have green, but that's fine.
Now you have Cast Karn through Mana Leak. Or World Breaker. You don't have green.
No, you don't have green. You had to go score to yourself for that. Oh, well. I mean, Joe just needs to draw, like, multiple bolts. Or, I mean, she also has a Wormcoil.
No, just play Karn. You can pay for Mana Leak.
Why are you afraid?
All right,
this is fine.
Now the question is, do we go up or down?
Oh, we take his land. We're greedy.
No, but then it dies the, like, Snapcaster. Oh, no, it dies the Bolt.
There's no bolt in the graveyard, though.
No, that's right. It just dies a straight Bolt.
Yeah, he went up. Or she went up.
Yeah.
What is he going to exile? Oh, no.
Probably Mana Leak now?
Exile it to the Karn.
Yeah, I mean, like...
Oh, wait, no, it doesn't matter because it's not a permanent. Okay,
yeah.
He's going to go to 14 to fetch here. I mean, I don't actually know what his outs are, like, other than drawing, like...
Dreadbore.
Oh, just single Dreadbore?
Draw Dreadbore. Draw Dreadbore and draw Dreadbore quickly.
How about right now?
Yeah.
I think he's shocked for this? What? What's happening? Okay.
No,
I think
this
he
was
just,
shortcutted.
Okay. He drew Spell Snare.
All right.
He has Terminate in hand. That's a Karn. Whatever, dude. This game is mega over.
Yeah, no.
She drew a Grove. She can play the dude.
Well, I mean, we'll go up first, right?
Yeah. Why would you? So afraid. Yeah. So I think they're realizing it doesn't actually matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can just play World Breaker. Look at that. Yeah, Karn, pretty strong card.
Karn is a really fair card if you need 7 land for it.
Yeah,
it's a little less fair when you play it off of 3.
World Breaker goes on the stack. Joe's gonna definitely terminate in response to the trigger here. Oh, he's gonna float. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's gonna be like, whammo, get that World Breaker out of here right now.
Mm-hmm.
But you can just recur the World Breaker.
Yeah, we've got enough land that we can just recur this.
I'm not afraid. Just draw 3 bolts in a row. I guess it doesn't.
Even that's not good because the Karn is gonna exile the red source.
That is a sad life to lead. I would have recurred the World Breaker, but I guess you can do it now too, right? And still play it. Oh, gross.
Or you
Yeah.
can just, take this Karn to 1,000,000.
Take it to the moon. That's an
that's a-
RPTQ Snapcaster.
That's a snack? Okay, this is some...
Dude, you can like start the game with a Snapcaster on the battlefield. Oh, or just play Worm Coil. This card, by the way, is impossible for Grixis to beat.
All right, Joseph
yeah,
has seen that.
he's had enough. Oh man,
I do not blame him.
he was so close too.
It was very close. I think Lindsay might have given him additional outs by not getting rid of the Dover, but yeah, unfortunately, we reached the turning point a little bit too late.
Yeah, too early for Joe. The game turned around too early for him.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, again, if she were at 5 right there, because if the Delver, so if, let's say the Delver blind flips, hits for 3. So, and let's say nothing else changes, she's at 5 right there. There's so many more reasonable outs.
Oh, absolutely. Bolt into
Bolt
the
into
Snapcaster or
Colligan's
something.
command?
Yeah,
Like-
there's a ton of outs, but 7 is a lot.
Yeah, 7's a lot when you have no board.
Yeah. 7, however, is a lot less than 13,
It's true.
which
It's true.
Lindsay could have been at.
At that point, I would just be like, oh, I concede. Snap hard concede.
Yeah. So there is a Dreadbore here, and a Counterflux.
I love Counterflux.
Counterflux is quite good. Although the overloading part just doesn't come up as much as it used to.
I agree. That's true. What do you mean it used to though? When was that a thing?
When you play the Just Kind Mirrors.
Oh, that's fair. I'm a youngin', I guess.
Yeah.
I guess but you don't get value off your own cryptics.
I mean, sometimes you play it against Storm and they gut shot you for 5, and you're just counterflux them all.
Yeah, but if Storm is doing, I mean, so this is I feel like that's sort of the counterflux meme is you overload on the grape shot.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't matter because
if they're going off that hard, they have more than enough mana to draw their other grape shot or find a piff and
yeah.
get you with that too.
Yeah, the only time Counterflux has been really good for me is winning Counter Wars.
Yeah, I mean
this is your trump.
Winning, yeah, you're just cool. That doesn't resolve ever.
Yeah, just no.
No. Funnily enough, Counterflux can can't counter other counterfluxes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the card it's obviously a little bit too slow to see main deck play, but like you said, if you want to win a counter war, which is not as relevant in Modern now as it was,
right, it's
a year or two ago.
Right, it's not at all relevant anymore. You're very rarely fighting counter wars.
2 tiers. I miss the twin counter wars. I miss the remand your own stuff play. That was so good.
All right, we're gonna step outside real quick, see if we've got anything else going on.
All right, yeah. Dan's gonna see if there's another match. Chat if there are topics you want us to discuss. I believe we left off on the Modern ban list and what could come off of it theoretically. Not saying it should, but it could. So we'll do that, or we'll get another match. I mean, I'm always down for more Magic, as it were. But, yep, Green Red Tron cleaning up Grixis Delver pretty handily. Feels bad, but that's what Karn does. Just get you. Oh man. Yeah. As someone who has started moving into Grixis Delver too, it's oh no, I don't want to play. You don't want to play Tron most of the time. You don't want to play Burn. Then you get to play against fair decks and you're fine because you have a Delver. But yeah, I don't know. I think that this this matchup is very very Delver dependent. If your Delver flips, you just ride your Delver to victory. If your Delver doesn't flip, or they just turn 3 Karn you, it requires some stumbling from Tron. So. I don't really know what to make of it, other than it doesn't feel favorable most of the time. But I guess your losses are always just brutal blowouts where they have Karn into Ugin into Ulamog, and your wins are probably you feel they stumbled and you definitely didn't. Not that you didn't deserve it, but that you didn't play that their deck wasn't functioning optimally. Hopefully Dan comes back with a match. I feel like if he's been gone for this long, should get a match soon. It's a mystery. All right. Aether match, yes, no? No. All right. Dan's giving me the sad head shake as he comes into the room. So it does not look like we're going to have another match for this round. We do have one more round tonight, though, so stick with us for the fourth round. As it is, we'll kick it back up to the booth. We can talk about what we were going to talk about before this round started, which is ban listings. We do have a ban list update coming.
We do.
This will mark the one, well, not necessarily one calendar year, but the 1 year ban list cycle since the banning of Splinter Twin.
Yeah.
A year anniversary. I plan on having a very, very sad funeral for my copies of that card. Still own them, but
yeah,
it's been a year.
You hold the bodies for a year before you have a funeral, huh?
No. It's like a double funeral.
Okay.
But like, if you think about, so think about this, right? Like, when Splinter Twin got banned, that was that shook the format in a very real way, right? It's been a full year. We've started to be able to gain some amount of perspective on these things.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, that the banning of Splinter Twin marked the era where Modern progressively got less interactive and faster, right? Because immediately after that, we had Eldrazi for
3 months.
Yeah, it was only 3. Felt like longer than that.
Maybe they. Hang on. Ivugin is banned in Modern.
But yeah, we had Eldrazi. Then we ended up with Death Shadow, which was the new, the new hotness.
Yeah, no, Ivugin was banned in April, and Twin was banned in January.
Okay, so it was actually just 3 months.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had Eldrazi for 3 months. Death Shadow became the next hot deck. Then and now we have Dredge.
Yeah. And that brings the question, right? Like, has anything, obviously Modern has gotten, in a lot of people's eyes, has gotten less interactive. Decks are killing on turn 3.5 more often. But does that, has Modern moved to a healthier place? I think that the question is, the question is this format preferable to the format that existed, after the pod banning, before the Twin banning?
I mean, I would argue no, but people could definitely feel differently. The problem that Twin had, a lot of the decks in the current format still had the same problem. It pushed out other decks. It was not very interactive,
Right.
at times. And that's still a problem that exists. If anything, that's a problem that exists with more decks now.
Right, and you have to, you ask the question, right, like, which sort of... Right, because, there are decks right now, for example, I don't know, I'm just, Titan Shift.
Mm-hmm.
Titan Shift would not exist if Twin existed.
Right.
Rug Scape Shift did, Bring to Light Scape Shift did, but Titan Shift as a deck is entirely too linear to exist in a format with Twin.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, they can play a bunch of Rending Volleys, but that's not going to change the fact that their Twin matchup would be abysmal.
Right. Well, it's just, I mean, eventually they have, late game inevitability, but you can't, YOLO Primeval Titan. That you can't now. The thing is just the decks became powerful enough that you were better off not interacting with it and trying to do your own powerful thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
So all of a sudden we have decks that are like ships passing in the night. We're just doing our own thing.
Yeah.
Which has its problems. But we'll see what Wizards feels about it. They're not opposed to shaking up the meta now, especially without Modern being a Pro Tour format. So they're not obliged to try to change.
They're not obliged to, they're not obliged to change anything. I just, people. I think that there's a lot of talk there, or at least there was a lot of talk about Become Immense being, not a card that should be in Modern. There's been a lot of discussion online, and not by reasonably respected article writers, should we just ban all the fast mana, right? Should we ban Simian Spirit Guide and Mox Opal? Should we ban, should
we ban Phyrexian mana? That was also
Phyrexian mana and fast mana are the two. When it comes down to it, I'm not sure that that's the problem.
Yeah. I mean, this list should be this change should be interesting because it'll really reflect what Wizards, long-term perspective on the format is. I think the unhappiness with the Modern format is at somewhat of an all-time high.
I think it's only been getting higher since like Death Shadow and Dredge really came back.
At least in recent memory, there's just a lot of general unhappiness with the format, and depending on what they do here, it really reflects their philosophy, right? They have the option; they could unban a ton of things, like almost everything, and just like here's a format where you do incredibly powerful things, and you fight on that axis, or they could dramatically increase the size of the ban list, like banning multiple. Cards out of the format, and then it would be more like, okay, this is going to be more of a curated format where these are things that we feel are acceptable.
And I mean, I think that like the problem is that for example, Become Immense. Let's just take that card. Card is obviously very powerful. Giving +6/+6 for green is double the rate of giant growth, but a lot of times with Infect, like Become Immense could be another +4, and that would be good enough. Like they're killing you, with 12 power instead of 10. But like in Infect on turn 3, most of the time you're getting killed by Might Muta.
Right.
Like you're not getting killed by Become Immense on turn 3. And I get that it's very powerful on one card to have off the top in the late game to just swing, but like in that deck I'm not sure it's the problem. I think that Infect has always been very good, and in a format where Infect is like not really afraid of just losing the game on turn 4 to Twin, it can be more aggressive, right? I think Infect always had this potential. Like people, even before Become Immense, right? You still had Groundswell, you still have Might of Volcrosa. You had, now with Blossoming Defense printed, you have another piece of interaction. But like, I feel like Infect could Goldfish that quickly before the Twin ban, but a lot of the time it just couldn't.
Right.
Because it was, 10 to 15% of its matchups were decks where it absolutely could not go for the win unless it was 100% sure, right? Like, it's as simple as Deceiver XR block.
Right.
And then, like what do you do? Right? Like,
right. Or Deceiver XR attempt to tap it down.
Attempt to tap, and if that doesn't work, you still get a block.
You still get a block, right.
Yeah, so, like, I think, in Infect killing the 10 to 15% of the meta that it's not afraid of anymore at the same rate that it used to, at the same rate that it was killing other decks previously, so people I guess notice that because that's like a reasonable amount of upswing. But I just I don't know if Become Immense is the problem, and I think fast mana wise, right, so you have Singing Spirit Guide Mox Opal. I think that banning Mox Opal is completely unfair to Affinity, because I don't think that deck has ever, that deck operates on the very borderline of this is a fast deck, but ultimately Affinity is not.
Well, you could make the argument that Affinity is too powerful in that it requires sideboard slots like no other deck does. The only reason Affinity isn't super
is because the hate is
because
really
the hate
good.
Is very powerful.
That's fair.
And you can make the argument that that's unacceptable, right? It's just going back to my previous point, it's really interesting what happens here, because you see this actually with a lot of video games. The way that developers change their game or patch things reflects their philosophy for how they want the game going forward, and the way that different aspects of a game are buffed or nerfed. A lot of different games take different philosophies in that.
Right, and so, I feel like Wizards has been somewhat confused in there.
Yeah, and that's a bit of an annoying part about Wizards. Wizards has kind of developed into the habit of reverting back on statements that they have. They'll issue a statement about, hey, this is what we're going to do. And then,
people will be like, wait, stop that right now.
Right, to a lot of criticism, and then immediately change paths a couple of days or weeks later. Example
being the Platinum Pro changes that happened tried to happen over the summer.
Right, the pay to pros controversy, which I'm sure a lot of people are glad that they reverse course, but it begs the question is why was that
even on the table?
Why was that implemented when it was very clear that the criticism would be very vocal and pointed.
Right, and you've got to wonder, right? They've sort of weathered the storm. There obviously there's going to be a there will, I feel like as long as Modern exists, there will be some non-zero number of people who played Twin and aren't afraid to say, I wish it was back. Just that number is the same, those people exist for Pod, for example, but again, that number's much smaller, because I think that Wizards' arguments about Pod being unfair were much more compelling to more people. So you've got to wonder, it's been a year, and this really, sort of is begs the question, like, this would be one of the fastest sort of reversals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if there's ever been a card that was put on the ban list for a year and then taken off it after that year.
Yeah.
You know, like that and then...
Well, yeah,
you know.
I mean, Wizards is very quick to ban cards that are, clearly busted, or, like, preemptively ban things.
Yeah.
But, the process of unbanning a card usually comes with quite a bit of thought.
Right, and, they've done some unbans, right? They unbanned Ancestral Visions.
They've done a ton of unbannings.
Unbanned Golgari Grave Troll.
Right, even, unbanned Wild Mikado.
Unbanned Wild Mikado, that was like a real... People were like, this format will die if Wild Mikado was in it.
Not like unbanned Bitter Blossom. Like, these are cards that, like, people
Right.
are genuinely concerned about. And, like, Bitter Blossom has not, wrecked Modern. Golgari Grave Troll, until the printing of Prize Amalgam,
And Neonate, yeah.
just did nothing.
Right, yeah, like Golgari Grave Troll being back was like, this is fine.
Tata 757.
Yeah.
We should get to your question here. Would you
But we can also talk about it. So the question in the chat was, would you consider Ojutai's Command as a budget option to replace Cryptic? So in a lot of situations, Ojutai's Command actually, like, if you're countering a creature spell, it's basically the same thing. But Cryptic is so flexible that like bouncing permanence is, like, I feel like it's somewhat underused until you've played with Cryptic for a while, because then you realize that bouncing people's lands and stuff can put them back a lot, especially if they've played a land for turn, that sort of thing. So like Ojutai's Command some of the time will be very good and like similar to Cryptic and also easier to cast. It's also like a complete and total shredding against burn. Like gaining 4 life is better than drawing a card most of the time. But
Ojutai's Command really gets played for the return a creature onto the battlefield clause.
Yeah.
And if you're not reliably able to do that with creatures that matter, then I would suggest just playing like regular counter magic over.
Yeah, like 2 mana counter magic.
Yeah, just 2 mana
and working towards Cryptics.
Right.
I mean I think that the deck that I see Ojutai's Command being put to the best of use in, which I mentioned in that comment, was
Blue, White, and Maria.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because you just play value creatures. So like when your Ojutai's Command is like counter your spell, get back Wall of Omens, now you have a free 0/4 in addition, or like against burn, recur my Lone Missionary. Game's basically over at that point. There are a lot of Ojutai's Command is an extremely powerful card. I just don't know if it's like I feel like it's like just a little bit too far away from Cryptic to consider them sort of interchangeable. I could definitely see like Ojutai's Command alongside a Cryptic in maybe in an Emaria Shell that's playing a Cryptic or something, but like you said, returning a creature CMC 2 or less to the battlefield is like just the best mode on that card.
Right.
And so you should play accordingly.
Right, and based on the sound of it, I think round 3 ended a couple minutes ago, and we must be just picking up the last stragglers of players who are going into time.
When you have a Maria and another blue-white deck in the room, things tend to go long. Detention Sphere Wrath deck is pretty good at making games go for a long time.
Yeah, but if people here in chat, if you have any. If there are any decks in particular that you're interested in seeing, please let us know. And let's see if we can get it in the last round here.
Yeah, we definitely have. I mean, this is a pretty big event tonight. Like, a lot of people. We have, 28, 29 people here. So a lot of people came back from the break fired up and ready to play Modern.
Yeah, we have a good representation of everything here. So,
I think, all right, and that's not our pairings.
But on the note, the next upcoming event is this weekend here with GP Louisville, which is one of the few legacy GPs every year. If anyone here in chat is going to be attending that, MTGCardmarket will be there as a vendor, and please stop by, say hi.
You're going, right?
I am going, yeah.
Okay. And are you playing, or are you going to be working?
I'll be helping out with a card market booth here.
Cool.
But we really appreciate MTGCardmarket for sponsoring the stream, as well as giving us events to cast. It looks like we do finally have the round 4 pairings.
Finally, get out of here! I'm sorry. You run, sir.
Much of the let's see, what do we?
You want to do it?
I'm okay with it.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, so Dan is gonna hop out of the booth. We're gonna get a match. Gonna go to round 4 here. I promise I'll take Splinter Twin off of the card display. We'll go with well, let's guess. No, it's Aeon. Okay. All right, yeah. So Dan's gonna get a match. I'm gonna throw it down to the play overlay so I can have easier access to this. 51 start. All right, so this is gonna be the 4th and final round tonight. Thanks for everyone for sticking with us through it so far. We've had some minor technical difficulties this stream, mostly due to error from the booth, mostly me. So we will, those will be fixed. Those will be diligently attended to next week, certainly, as we put in different names on the overlay now. All right, so it looks like we're going to have Nicholas Wilde on Grixis Delver on the left. I think that's his bag. And on the right, we're going to have Ken Ropiak, who we saw before. Maybe he'll get a chance to demonstrate somewhat to a better effect what exactly Ad Nauseam is all about. Having played against having played against Death and Taxes that previous round, or in the round that we saw him first, yikes. Not a great matchup there. The Delver matchup, though, definitely a little bit better for Ad Nos. There's no Thalia, there's no Leonin Arbiter. But yeah, so this should be interesting. This is a matchup that revolves a lot around early pressure from the Delver deck, trying to beat down the Ad Nos deck and using counter magic and stuff to make sure that they don't get to go off. One interesting thing in this matchup that is that sort of developed once Kolaghan's Command got printed is Ken has to be more careful about how he utilizes his artifact mana. An early and exposed Pentad Prism can be destroyed by a Kolaghan's Command, which can set you back super far. So yeah, this should be good. Both players going to shuffle up for game 1. Ken gonna check his sideboard, make sure everything's out of there. So yeah, how do you feel about this matchup, Dan? I feel like it's pretty Ad Nos favored, unless Delver again goes hard at the start.
Yeah, that's a problem. Like it's better that this is a Delver deck because you're able to apply pressure. But depending on the draw you can have, if you have a clunky hand and you give the Ad Nauseam deck 6-7 turns, that's enough.
That's so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
And a very relevant part that a lot of people forget: the Ad Nauseam deck, that combo is at instant speed.
Yeah, like you can do that during blockers before damage on your opponent's combo.
Right, like you can it makes Tasker activation impossible, right?
You have to be so afraid.
Yeah, it's like I mean, if you're gonna lose, then if you have no cards in hand, might as well.
Right.
But
yeah, no, there's definitely the fear once they get to the mana.
The thing with the Ad Nauseam deck is that at least my experience of it is when your opponents play it, it feels unbeatable. When you play it, it's a hot pile of garbage.
Oh, that's how I feel about Scapeshift sometimes. Yeah. I've lost so many games to Scapeshift decks, and I have beaten.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And when the times where I've borrowed someone's Scapeshift in jam games, I just got destroyed.
It's just what
is the card Scapeshift? Where is it?
All right.
Oh wow, so pretty good opener for Ken here.
So yeah,
everything except the Ad Nos. Oh man, here we go with drawing
here
Spirit
we go
Guides
again.
Gonna lead off, suspend that Lotus Bloom.
All
Nick
right.
gonna take a look. Delver trigger, flip a Git Probe. This is exactly what Delver wants to be doing.
Okay,
this is good. He puts the Delver in his sleeve too because he knows that it's not going to die to anything and he might have to flip it back over. Nick's gonna go to 18 to look at the hand here. Gonna see those multiple Lotus Petals, 2 Gemstone Mines, Phyrexian Unlife, and an Angel's Grace. Phyrexian Unlife pretty good.
Phyrexian Unlife, yeah, I'll buy quite a bit of life. The problem against the Grixis decks is often they can bolt you down below it.
Yeah, they bolt you and then they start swinging for Infect.
Yeah.
Nick gonna draw a card here off the Probe, has a mana leak in hand, also has a Tassiger. He's gonna fetch here. Your life total like doesn't really matter. Like it sort of does, but it also really doesn't.
No, it definitely doesn't.
Yeah,
matter.
there's no way you're going to be able to put enough lands on the Lightning Storm. Interestingly, that is something that has happened to me before, where you put enough lands on the Lightning Storm such that they don't.
Yeah, I have. So there are a couple of interesting interactions with Lightning Storm, right?
Yeah.
I've definitely played against Ad Nauseam before, where
They have to go for it.
they drew enough lands that I kept just 7 lands in hand,
Yeah.
and they couldn't win through that. It's also incredibly bad against Kira. Because Lightning Storm reads, anyone can sack a land and redirect it anywhere they want.
Yikes.
So you can just redirect it to your Kira
Counter it.
and counter it. Like it doesn't matter if you add more stacks to it. The counter trigger is still on the stack.
Oh, is that how that works? Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, and here, I like this play by Ken. He's going to exile a Simian Spirit Guide to get that unlife down under any counter magic that Nick has. And I think if I'm Nick there and I saw that hand, I would be very wary to just play out. I would be very wary to play that Serum Visions. I would have played it now, because you know that the Adnos deck only needs 3 Spirit Guides to cast Lightning Storm, and
The first one is Lotus Petal. The first one is free.
the first one is incredibly free. And so Nick now leaving up Mana Leak here, going to tap 2, and I think this is Collective Brutality. I think it's 1 and a black. Yeah, I like Collective Brutality here. This will let him get into the hand, discard a card.
So I believe this is going to be Drain and Duress. Well, it has to be Drain and Duress. Like,
Did he discard for it? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
He did. Okay, yeah. So Nick is going to go to using that as a burn spell in a way. So, and this is relevant because it does change the clock.
Yep. This changes it now to a 6 turn clock.
Because it's 4 to get him. No, more than that. Because it's 4 to put him under 4 to put him into the unlife.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is so Ken gonna find an Angel's Grace and a Mystical Teachings. With this Lotus Bloom, he's getting close.
He's very close. I don't like the Angel's Grace at all because
he has one.
Yeah. Well, also no, the one he had got discarded, but it's just it doesn't do anything.
Right, because you have the unlife out.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can like buy a turn by like keeping yourself above 0.
Yeah.
But other than that, it doesn't really do a whole lot.
Fair enough. Nick going to fetch end of turn here. So yeah, so Ken is, oh wow, he's actually just like land teachings. Okay, so I guess if the teachings gets leaked, then he's got like a little bit more to do.
Yeah.
A little bit more work to do. But so Nick here, like Ken is effectively at 22.
Yes.
Yeah, but Nick finds another Delver here, which is, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Gonna play a Polluted Delta, and 1 mana, play the Delver, and attack.
Yeah, I think Nick's hand is Leak and
Spell Snare.
Is it Spell Snare?
Yes. Yeah, Leak, Spell Snare.
Okay. Nick not gonna fight over this?
Fight over a Lotus Bloom.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think that's great. I think you save it for the I don't know if you saw the teachings, but I think you save it for.
You didn't see the teachings because that was.
Yeah, that was a draw step.
Yeah.
I think you save it for the teachings. I don't think you're. So here's another Delver trigger.
He's thinking
Nick,
about it.
He's thinking about keeping it or not. I'm not sure what it was, but it looks like he is going to draw it. He's going to attack for 4. Ken's going to go.
Well, the consideration is you can
Fetch. You can fetch as like a sort of a scry almost.
So
I think it's a Tassiger. Or it's a fish. Okay.
Okay.
I like this. So the thing is that next turn.
So this shortens it to a 2-turn clock.
Yeah, well, no, because this next turn will put him to like -5 or like negative whatever.
Right.
And here's the Mystical Teachings. This needs to get mana leaked, but wait.
You can pay for the mana leak.
But then he needs mana to
then
cast
he needs
the
a land.
Adnos.
Yes, because the Simian Spirit Guide in hand is not.
Must be. Nick is gonna fetch in response.
Yeah.
So Nick will hit him, and then he will. Assuming the Delver at some point flips.
Yeah. Nick's gonna go 15. This just not relevant.
Assuming the Delver flips, it's a 2-turn clock.
Right. So Ken is actually in an interesting position whether or not he wants a sack, and it looks like he is going to sack.
I mean, it means that him drawing a land is just game over.
There's a lot of tap land in this deck, though.
That's true. That's true. Wait, he put the mystical teachings in his deck. He put the mystical teachings in his deck.
We'll go ahead and remind him of that.
Mystical teachings is not Green Sun Zenith. Go fast, Dan. Dan is out the door. He's gonna get over to Ken immediately. And yeah, big yikes, fam. Oh, alright. This is somewhat awkward, but, you know, it's all no harm, no foul. Okay. Yeah. Just a, you know, tired player in round 4. And Ken, yeah, so has the draw step of, oh, what? Wait, why? Why would you, no, but no? Wait, what? What's happening? Why does, okay. I would like someone to explain why you snap concede to that, because you flip your whole life. Wait, did he just concede?
He conceded.
But why did he concede? Dan, tell me that was the wrong play, right?
Yeah, so this is one problem with not making your opponent play out the deck. Ken just used his second Simian Spirit Guide. He couldn't cast Lightning Storm.
No, he had a land drop. That's true.
Oh, that's right.
finds
He did
the
have it.
gemstone
He did
line.
have it. Yes, yes.
All right, thank you, Neon85. That is the why.
Yes.
Okay. Whew, it wasn't just like a terrible.
Wait, did he have okay, he definitely had untapped land left in his deck.
He had untapped land. He could have
Yeah.
done it. Okay. Well, Ken knowing his deck better than we know his deck.
Yeah.
Both players shuffling up, going to go to game 2 here. Very, very close.
So I guess I've misspoken all night. I guess the second Simian Spirit Guide is still also Lotus Petal.
Depends if you have a land drop.
Yeah,
or
if
not.
you have the land drop or
If
not.
you have
right?
the land drop, it's Lotus Petal. Oof.
So looking back in that game, don't think there were any different lines that could have been taken.
No, it was just the Phyrexian Unlife and Ken just having Ken paying for the mystical teachings with the Lotus Blood.
I think the only decision point was the Serum Visions, what to keep on top. Obviously, you keep the mystical teachings.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised that the Angel's Grace was
Yeah.
kept.
The other option, the other line is maybe Nick doesn't go for the Serum Visions on turn 2, having seen that Ken could play a turn 3 Unlife or a turn 2 Unlife.
Right.
Ken did draw a second one though.
Right. Ultimately, it benefited him. The thing also is that Ken had Angel's Grace as well. Right. So, and like the problem is, you have to decide where you want to pick your battle, right?
Yeah. You don't have enough resources to fight more.
Because there's a lot of scary things that come out. Like if Ken had played like an earlier Pentat Prism, do you fight over this?
Yeah, Pentad Prism is so good.
Yeah, do you fight over the mana, or do you fight over the cards that actually matter?
Yeah. No, I don't disagree.
And let's not forget that this is a deck that runs, Pact of Negations, because you never have to pay for them.
Oh, Pact of Negation is
Or-
so good.
You can you just Pact of Negation like a turn 1 or 2 play if you have to do it, and then just Angel's Grace your way out of it.
Right, yeah, the classic. I mean, you're still 2 for 1ing yourself, but yeah, on upkeep, trigger on the stack, Angel's Grace.
Right.
Okay. Guess you're not losing the game. Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, Nick, honestly, pretty strong start. Had pressure, had disruption, but
Immediately flipped over.
yeah, unlike Joseph, who just had a brutal night all 3 games on flipping Delver.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm. Mystical Teachings proving to be a very powerful card.
Yeah.
Somewhat slow for the rest of Modern, but
There's the argument that
oh yeah,
Lotus Bloom, Black Lotus, apparently a hell of a card.
Mm-hmm.
Even Black Lotus with Suspend, still fine.
yeah. Black Lotus with Suspend seems good. So we're gonna look at Ken's hand here. He's got looks like double Unlife, a Seachrome Coast, a Slate. Is that a Spoils? I could not see, but Delver for Nick. So, he draws a Seachrome Coast. Ken does it. Suspend Lotus Bloom.
Alright.
This is what you want to be doing. And cast Slate. So he needs, obviously looking to. Oh, there it is.
There's the Ad Nas.
I mean, this could be over very quickly. If Nick has another Brutality, so Nick, looking at the top card, draws a second Delver, always feels bad.
Mm-hmm.
Darkslick Shores, though, going to play it, attack for 1, Ken to 19.
Okay.
Nick representing Spell Pierce among
So
other
there's
things.
the Angel's Grace.
Oh wow.
We're
We're in kill you turn 4 if we have another land. Oh wait, we have Assuming Spirit Guide. We're just killing you.
Yeah, this is enough mana.
It is enough mana just to kill Nick. The question is whether he wants to play this Unlife or not. Because it looks like it resolves unless there's Spell Pierce. I feel like you just pass, like, you're not afraid of anything. Oh, he's afraid. Exile Spirit Guide. Yeah, oh.
Okay.
This is really good for Nick.
I mean, so the thing is, Nick is still dead.
He's gonna
land.
reveal the Kolaghan's command.
Oh, this is really critical because he can
Wait, flip your other Delver. Okay, what's happening?
He can upkeep Destroy the Bloom, which forces Ken has to have that 6 mana on that turn.
Yes.
He can't draw a land into it.
Assuming Nick has the lands. Ken gonna go to 13.
Right. So Ken has.
Oh, you're saying in Ken's upkeep destroy the Bloom.
So Ken has exactly this turn to draw an untapped land. Draws a sleight of hand.
I mean, Nick can't cast.
Oh, not an untapped land. Just draw a land.
Yeah,
because it will be untapped.
Nick does have a negate in hand. Ken draws a land though.
Okay.
I think he drew an Urborg.
He did draw an Urborg. He's gonna play the Urborg.
Pretty good card. Nick with negate though, you can just negate the Adnos, right?
Yes.
Okay, Nick not afraid, knows that nothing can really happen at the end of this turn. Now he's going to untap after thought scouring himself. Just hold up negate and hit him with your Delvers.
Yeah, the only thing with hitting him with the Delvers is you do buy Ken a couple of turns to just Angel's Grace it repeatedly.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah,
He's
that's
not
fine.
Angel's Grace ad nauseing. Like, Nick here just needs to hold... Like, you cannot tap lands unless you're casting negate actually for Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is gonna be, this is weird because Ken is at 7 now, yeah.
Yeah, Ken will be at 7 after this.
Okay, so Nick considering what to do, but yeah, he has a 3rd Delver in hand, but you can't play that.
No, you have to.
Yeah, and then you just let it resolve.
Nick
You could kill the Lotus Bloom with the negate, but I think he just lets it happen. This does okay. So if Ken finds Pact of Negation, he wins. But right now, everything hangs on Ken finding that pact in, like... So he could just, like, cast Unlife here, right? Like...
Yeah, he could just cast Unlife. I like casting Unlife.
I like casting Unlife, because then Nick has to debate, and then Ken could go for it on 1 life.
So here's the problem with Unlife.
Yeah.
If you cast Unlife, you're effectively tapping yourself out of Angel's Grace.
Yeah.
Whereas right now, Ken could... leave up ad nauseum and just go off at instant speed.
Right, yeah, but... So that gets to resolve, though, and this is, like...
It resolved. I'm a little surprised it resolved and that Nick didn't counter this. Because if he countered this...
No, he's countering.
Oh, he's countering. Okay. Because now Ken is effectively dead to 1 damage.
If Nick draws a land, he's dead.
Yeah, I mean, Ken can always sack the Lotus Bloom for Angel's Grace.
That feels bad.
It feels bad, but, like, you do what you gotta do, right? What is that 3rd card in hand? There's 2 Ad Nauseams and Angel's Grace, and it looks like it spoils of the vote, but that can't be it.
Why?
Alright, so can we draw another land?
It might just... I think it just spoils.
I guess spoils doesn't make sense, yeah. Alright, so Ken at 1.
Draw step.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good enough.
No, I mean, we got 6 mana. It takes 6 to win the game.
Does Nick have another counterspell?
I think, like, if you do anything, you do it now, all right? You're just dead otherwise. Oh, actually, you should just do this on Nick's upkeep. I guess you're gonna be.
It doesn't matter.
You're just not gonna have the resources to do anything after this. If you do it on Nick's upkeep, that means you also don't die on that turn, right? Because the next turn you could, for example, draw like a Phyrexian on life.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I think you have to try to do this on his upkeep. Ooh, he's going for a sleight of hand. Oh,
dude, this man has no fear.
No fear.
He's never been afraid in his life. It's Pentad Prism, and but like, how do you? I think he just says go. This is rough. Collective Brutality. Swing.
All right. We're gonna stay alive this turn, but now we can't even combo.
Right, I agree. I don't like casting this late. I just like going for it right now.
Like, what are you digging for sleight? That's the big question, right? Like, And if we're gonna pull up.
Oh,
English
yo.
Grace here.
Does not. So if Nick brutality him, he loses, right? On state-based actions on his turn.
State-based actions.
Yeah, because this is a loss of life, and Angel's Grace talks about damage. So
Yeah.
if Nick just goes,
does it? I think if your life goes under. Let's pull up Angel's Grace here.
no, he's 100% dead if Nick sees this.
Oh right, it says damage. Yeah.
Yeah, so Nick will reduce his life to -1, and then he'll lose like when things get checked on his untap.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Nick is talking to a judge about this, and I think he'll find it.
And this is why I'm so confused about the sleight of hand.
Right, because Ken could just be going for the combo right now. and roll
Yeah.
away.
So like if Nick was like collect the brutality, then it was like Ken could just respond with ad nauseum kill you.
Oh, you're 100% right.
Yeah. So this is why I mentioned earlier that this deck functions at instant speed. Ken is now 1 mana short of casting.
Oh, what is that though? I don't know what that was. Oh,
It's a spoils of the vault.
Okay. Oh, he spoils for Pact. Oh no. No, Nick is gonna lose.
No, Nick.
No, yeah,
how's
that's
Nick
fine.
gonna lose?
Because if Ken spoils in response, right?
Yeah.
Oh, but Ken loses life from the spoils or from the.
Yeah, it's lose life. Angel's Grace will see him, save him.
No. He's lose life is different from.
Actually, go back to Angel's Grace. Let's.
This is so confusing. Yeah, Ken
You can't.
scoops. Damage that would reduce your life total.
Yeah.
Lose life, so it's the same
Yeah.
thing as brutality. All right, so that's gonna do it for game 2. Wow, that was all this lose life, lose life, take damage stuff.
Yeah.
Very relevant in this.
Well, so the important line on Angel's Grace is you still can't lose the game.
Yeah.
So yes, you can be at like minus 20. Doesn't matter.
The thing is, you lose automatically on your next turn.
Yes, you will automatically lose on your next turn. There's no time to cast another Angel's Grace. Split second doesn't save you from state-based effects. But
There's something very poetic about that.
yeah, I mean the issue just is Ken doesn't have enough mana.
Yeah, and if he hadn't cast the slate though, Nick goes for brutality and wins the game.
Exactly. I'm very, very confused by that sleight of hand play. I think Ken was looking for untapped land, but if he was doing that, that's so greedy. Because if you miss, you lose.
Why do you even need untapped land?
Because then effectively you cast Sleight for free, right?
Yeah, but like why would?
But why-
you don't need storm count.
Right, exactly. I'm very, very confused.
Oh,
by
he
that
might
line.
have been looking for. He might have been like, dig for Pact of Negation.
But you don't have enough mana to
Right,
cast
yeah,
Angel's
okay.
Grace then.
Yeah, no, I mean, I
you-
don't disagree with you. We'll talk to Ken afterwards, like we always do. So
Right.
you
You
know,
need.
maybe the stream will never know, but we will at least have our curiosity assuaged.
You need 6 mana for Angel's Grace ad nauseum. You had 6 mana.
Right.
There's
I don't know.
I mean, I guess so. Ken had had a couple of live hits, right? He could have hit a big untapped land, or he could have hit a Simian Spirit Guide. Those were his outs.
Yeah, I guess, but like that's so like. You literally win the game if you don't do that, though.
Yeah. Yes. That's
Okay.
Wow. Okay. So this is a Boseiju, which is excellent.
Boseiju, double Lotus Bloom, Serum Visions, Pact of Negation. I'm hoping there's an Adnos somewhere in there.
The problem is I don't think there's a color source in this deck.
What's on the far left? No, there's definitely a secret. Double Suspend Lotus Bloom. He's gonna have infinite. No, he definitely has a secret.
Oh, okay, there's a secret. Okay, this hand is insane.
I mean, he just needs to find the Adnos and the Angel's Grace, right? Like,
Yeah.
that can't be bad.
All right, he's looking at 2 cards. None of them got put on the bottom immediately, so that's always a good sign. And both are topped. All right, this could be a quick game.
Yeah, double Lotus Bloom is insane.
Do we have the turn 1 Dover?
No turn 1
We do
Dover.
not have the turn 1 Dover. Okay, this game is a lot harder for Nick then. A lot harder.
You said it, Dan, especially with this Boseiju. Let's pull that up.
Oh, we do have the turn 1 Dover.
So yeah, we'll pull up Boseiju here. Yeah, so Nick with the turn 1 Delver, like, doing Delver things, but also Boseiju, also double Lotus Bloom. Also Ken with, like, multiple Scries in hand, another Serum Visions, like here just, no, play, tap, I like this, because you're going to cast Serum Visions after you Scry.
So the problem is, like, there's 2 pieces you have to find right now. Okay, so he can play the Temple, didn't Scry. Oh, he already knew the card.
Yeah, he
double
knew the
scryed,
card,
yeah.
Okay, so now he has the Angel's Grace.
Okay.
So Nick does not flip his Delver. So
And I was so excited I didn't see if Ken topped or not. I mean, the only card you top right now is Ad Nauseam.
right. No, he double bottomed.
Oh, okay.
So Nick with a Serum Visions of his own gonna set up a Serum Visions on top so his Delver can flip.
Yeah. If you find Ad Nauseam, you win on the spot.
Yes,
Because
I agree.
not only do you have Pact and Negation back up, you have both Seiju.
I mean, Boseju's insane.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way the draw step is spoils. Okay.
Spoils is good enough, though.
Depends if you exile too many Simian Spirit Guides when you Ad Nos, or when you go for Ad Nos, right?
Oh, this is true.
Bolt you, Nick says. And that changes the spoils math. Spoils
Spoils doesn't matter because you're gonna Angel's Grace first.
This is that's true. That's true.
You Angel's Grace first, and I mean Ken's gonna have 9 mana, maybe 10.
Right. Nick
Forgot his Delver trigger.
But then Ken was a nice fellow because Ken is like that, and Nick was like, I didn't move the cards around. Yeah. So it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. So here's an attack with the Delver, putting Ken to 13. So and here's a Watery Grave for Nick, putting him to just 18. That's Spire Bluff.
Sure. I don't know what he can do against this.
He can hope. Rebellions are built on hope.
All right, the first one resolves, so presumably the second one resolves.
Nick casts Kolaghan's command.
And he's going to lose on the spot then.
Is this how you lose on the spot? What if you spoils though, and your top 3 cards are Simian Spirit Guide?
Then you still have enough mana to do this. You're gonna have 9 mana.
You're
gonna have 9 mana.
You're gonna have 9 mana, so you can Lotus Bloom for red.
Lotus Bloom for red, Lotus Bloom for black. It casts all of this as well.
Oh, please. Have mercy.
You can also just Pact the Negation this.
Yeah, who cares, man? Rawr.
I guess Ken wants his draw step.
I feel. Yeah. Okay, so he draws Slate. No. Spoils. Spoils. Or Angel's
It's
Grace.
important to start with the Angel's Grace here.
Yes. Well, not that one.
Not that one.
If he spoils this his Lightning Storm away, though, he does lose.
It is true.
He could have an Adnos. Hit too many land, you lose. Man.
all right. Ken remembering the sequence correctly here.
Yeah. Okay. Spoils. Go. 2 black floating.
All right. Oh
okay.
Man, if he hits Lightning Storm. All right. Didn't hit. Okay.
He's going for the Adnos, right?
Yeah, he's got the Adnos. All right. That's 1 Simian. 2 Simian.
Jesus.
Oh God.
Oh. Okay.
All right.
Now cast that with Boseiju.
Doesn't matter. Nick's tapped out. What's he gonna do? Pact negation him?
I hope so. Oh yeah, and then he can use the Boseiju to cast the Lightning Storm.
Did he not forget the red?
I think he's got 2 Simians.
Oh yeah, he's got 2. Okay, we're totally fine.
And I guess he just has to have enough lands, right?
Oh, there's a Mind Break Trap.
Yeah, Mind Break.
Oh, Mind Break Trap isn't even good. You have Pact of Negation.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, this
land drop.
Yeah, there's just. All right. Well, Nick is conveniently they all happen to be at the top.
Spirit Guide, make 2 mana. Cast Lightning Storm.
And he didn't exile enough land where this
Would
would
matter.
get. Right?
Did he lose the? Where is he? What's he?
The Lightning Storm.
I think he's thinking about casting Lab Maniac.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, Lab Maniac's quite good if you're worried about your lands, but doesn't matter. Okay, Lightning Storm him. I don't know if he can make that uncounterable.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. All right.
2,
3.
How many do you need for Lightning Storm? You can't Boseiju if you're on negative life. You can't pay life when you're at negative life.
Oh, he's not a negative life though.
From the spoils?
He might be. He might also just tap. It doesn't matter.
You should go tell them that. See, it might matter though.
Why?
Oh.
He tapped out.
Oh, I guess Nick's tapped out. Well, Nick could have.
He also has a gemstone.
He has a
line.
gemstone.
Yeah,
Okay, so
doesn't
it
matter.
winds up not mattering, but it could have mattered, right? Like
Yes.
if Boseiju was your last land for whatever, like let's say Boseiju, I don't know, you have Amulet of Vigor and play Boseiju's your land drop, like it would matter then.
Yeah, I think like the correct. I mean, it didn't matter because Nick was tapped out, but I
Yeah.
guess like before you spoils,
Yeah.
you should float that colorless mana.
Yeah, I agree. You should. Well, yeah. That's exactly right. You should pay to. You should
Pay to
Angel's Grace float spoils.
Yes.
Okay, that's not unreasonable.
Oh yeah, actually yeah. There was an ad nauseum. It wasn't just spoils. There was an ad nauseum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
so
flipped his
he's
whole
at like
deck, yeah.
negative 100.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, we.
And there was still 2 mana left over from the Lotus Bloom as well.
True.
That
Okay.
We just threw the dice on the side.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So definitely. Technically, the Boseiju can't cast that, but there were enough lands.
Even mana floating. That
Mana
didn't
floating
matter.
that it worked out. So yeah, so that's gonna do it. Ad nauseum taking it 2-1 over Grixis Delver. Pretty standard game for these. I felt like that last game was pretty indicative for these 2 decks, right? Like
Yeah.
Grixis Delver pressures,
Grixis never misses land drops.
and Ad nauseum just goes off on like turn 3 or 4.
Yeah. I'm a little surprised that Ken. Actually, I guess it didn't really matter what line Ken took on that last turn. Like he
Yeah.
could have just sacked the Lotus Bloom in response to the call against command,
Yeah.
and that would have been fine as well.
Yeah. Also, he did not have Lotus Bloom mana floating. He did use it, I think, because he cast. Yeah, because he didn't tap any lands to cast the Adnos. So he both Lotus Blooms went for black. One of them went for the spoils, and the other 5 went for the Adnos, and then all his lands were untapped. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. He had an
doesn't
untapped
matter,
land
yeah.
in play. Okay, so we're gonna throw it back up to the booth. That is going to do it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. With round 4 winding down, we're gonna bring an end to the stream for the evening. Want to thank everyone for sticking with us through our first week back after the holiday break. We had a bunch of viewers tonight. We're really glad. Great to interact with you guys in the chat, and we really enjoy doing this. So thanks for making this something that, thanks for watching and being a good Twitch chat, helping us catch things that we miss, that sort of thing. Next week, we'll continue to be back. If you're in the area around MTGCardmarket, the pre-release is next weekend. Yeah, not this coming weekend, but the one after.
Card Market is doing $25 pre-releases if you pre-register, and then $25 gets you into the midnight one, the Saturday noon, Saturday evening, and then the Sunday noon one. If you register for all 4, though, you do get $20.
Register for 5, right?
No, all 4.
Oh, 4. Okay.
Yeah, if you register for all 4, you do get a $20 discount.
Oh, yeah.
All 4 is only $80 as opposed to the
Yeah.
to the 100 it would be if you paid for each individually. There's also a 2-headed giant as well. That is $40 per team if you're interested in that. But yeah, it's a great shop. Great group of people who play here. It should be a great time. So if you're in the Chicagoland area, please feel free and join us here.
Yeah. Again, thanks for making this stream something that we can continue to do, everybody. MTG Card Market Wednesday Night Modern signing off. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.